All right, shall we get started?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Sounds
All
good.
right.
Sure.
As is the case with all of the other entries in this campaign, this first chapter of, or the first session of the second chapter, is no different in the fact that we are starting with a prologue. Today's prologue is sponsored by Kleenex. Wipe your nose. Kleenex.
You're disgusting.
Yeah, don't be disgusting. Use a Kleenex. All right. A smiling, blue-skinned adult elf sits on a log in front of a fire. Also around the fire is a group of young, blue-skinned elven children, eagerly awaiting a story. This group is positioned in a small clearing protected from the wind and the elements by a halo of thick trees. Scent of pine and ash mixes with the cool evening air, bringing a wave of calm over the patch of forest. The evening sun seems locked in time, half hidden behind a series of distant mountain peaks. The adult elf surveys the tiny companions circling the fire and begins to speak. Okay, let's all quiet down and listen to your Uncle Arvantis. Trying to tell the story of how I saved a whole load of people all by myself. It all started when I woke up in a dingy, cramped, gross-smelling bathroom with 9 other adventurers. There was this dragon guy and some other orc guy and some other guy that claims to be a sea elf like us, but he was pretty white, so I have my suspicions. The worst of all of them was this big, tall, green monster guy who tried pushing around one of the other people there. Now, all of you know that your Uncle Advantis doesn't take kindly to that sort of behavior, so I showed him a thing or two, and I laid him out for a little bit, and then he took a nice long nap. Then we all went and ate breakfast, and it was beautiful. Until they took us out into this big stadium and tried to kill us. Luckily, I was there because not a single person that entered that arena had a scratch on them. They threw all sorts of plants and stuff at us, and I chopped everything down with my own bare hands. Now we shift to a dimly lit room full of beds. It is the Castor Infirmary. Most of them are fully made with pristinely white sheets and pillows, but one is being occupied by a young boy. Across the room sits a large green man. A double-sided axe leans against the wall next to him. Sir, says the boy. The man looks up and smiles slightly at the boy. What can I do for you? The man says. You were one of the tithes, right? You're called Flynn? The man nods. The boy starts to well up a little bit. And he looks around, he realizes that he's alone. I'm scared being here by myself. Could you tell me a story? The man grimaces a little bit, but complies and pulls his chair close to the boy's bed. My story is very brief, but hopefully informative. My time as a tithe was a gruesome one. We fought early and lost many lives. Largely, we prevailed despite the history of tithed individuals, losing only one of our ranks along the way. I consider us very lucky. There was, however, one sea elf that never seemed to help our cause. We switched back to the forest, and then there was a big showdown with that old guy, Rob. There was probably 1,000 soldiers there, but I stayed strong, and I fought him almost alone. Nobody else seemed to want to help me. Back in the infirmary, identified maybe 40 soldiers there. I was charmed and basically asleep for most of the time, but based on the bodies after the fact, there were not many soldiers there that would have actually harmed us. Sea Elf was not there, thankfully. I feared that he may have caused more harm to all involved. Back in the forest. And so that is how I single-handedly saved all 20 of the tithes and everybody else that was involved. The end. Good night. And the little blue elven children go wild They're shouting things like, I knew you could do it. It's been such a great month and a half since you've been back. It's so great to have you back, Arvantis. Back in the infirmary, man gets up and puts the chair back to where it was before and moves to leave the room. He says, I apologize. I'm not a good storyteller, though I'm sure you know stories written about me. Next time I'll bring you a copy of Knight's Parable. It was written about me centuries ago. And the boy's eyes light up, and he realizes who he's actually talking to. And he says, I thought you were human. And the man says, I was once. I was once. And he exits. Welcome to session 1 of chapter 2.
Heyo.
Hey.
Playing Dungeons and Dragons. We're going to start tonight in the
Hey.
coastal town of New Ponteg, following Eric Ekliadrock. You have been gone from the caster compound for a month and a half, 45 days. What have you been doing, Eric?
Okay. Eric has been seeing to his family that has left. His mother is still his home. He visits his father's graveyard. Just actually, it's a isolated graveyard for kind of like high-ranking New Ponteg soldiers. Even though the Caster Kingdom has kind of taken over the city, they still have that protected graveyard and burial site. He's been home and, like I said, tending to his family, but the only other family member besides his mother is his brother, who I think would live in a far off, distant city. Both both he and his brother trying to fulfill the legacy of the father, their father. I guess right now he'd be probably scouting the edges of the city, looking for Robert to pop up, and if so, then being able to muster whatever defense. So yeah, he's just kind of scouting, intending to
Nice.
the homestead.
All right. Know what Eric has been doing. So we're going to move now to a lesser known location. This is more underground, and we pan to a small man, very short, probably 4 feet tall. He is scurrying around what seems to be a lab. There are mechanical arms all over the place. There's part of a robotic body that he seems to be almost all the way inside of. His body can fit into the chest cavity of this robotic entity. He's kind of twisting wires and tinkering with things inside of there. And he hears some footsteps behind him. He kind of looks back, hits his head on the top of the robot, and turns around really quickly. And he says, "Oh, Teth, I didn't hear you come in." Billy, would you please describe your character as he is in the present?
So he his actual physicality wouldn't have changed so much, but more of his how he's dressed. I would say more than anything else, more to kind of guise the fact that he's a 7-foot walking metal man. But yeah, still has that same like bright silver frame. All the beautiful arcana and divinity scrawlings all over his body, which can only currently be seen on his face because he's wearing imagine just a giant canvas bag. That's just basically what he's wearing over everything right now. Imagine a 10-foot carpet just with a hole cut at the top, just over his entire body. And yeah, Death would take down his hood and address who I assume is Zethlo.
Yes. So you have now met Zethlo, and behind him is Zethlo's statue, is what he calls it. He is currently working on a way to operate unsentient pieces of material with magic. So the thing that he's been trying to work on is a set of gauntlets that he can use to operate a robot from outside, to have another, I guess, a beast of burden if he needs it, or somebody else having his back in combat without risking an actual life. So that is, I will show him to you now.
What was the name you called him?
Zethlo.
Zethlo Durand. He is now up on
Zeeflo?
your.
I thought you said Zequel when you first said it. I'm like,
He talks
That'd
so
be
much, he puts you to sleep.
My best friend Zequil.
Just a whole campaign with only brand names for names.
The only
This
way to
week's
deal-
prologue sponsored by ZQuil. Go to
only
sleep.
way to deal with
Zequil.
250 years of war trauma. Zequil.
When melatonin isn't enough to forget all of your PTSD.
Well,
It does
mommy
have
needs
sequel
an
or-
alcohol.
Sequel.
Yeah. Yeah. So Zethlo is well known throughout the continent as both an artificer, but also a weaponsmith. So he creates weapons. He has created a lot of Teth's armor, which you will learn more about what that can do. But he is very well known, especially like on the down low. He tries to keep his prices low and not affiliate himself with a lot of politicians or governments or hierarchies, things like that. He tries to still be a man of the people because he was raised in poverty. So he will turn to you, Teth, and he will say, and this is a pretty dimly lit place. He has a couple lanterns set up around his work desks, but the surrounding area is pretty dark. And he will kind of fix his helmet that he wears to protect himself, and he'll say, "We have somewhere to go today, and I need you to come with me. I think it's probably too far of a journey for me to make alone. I'd like your help."
Of course. Anywhere in particular of note, or just a stroll?
Well, yeah, quite a short stroll across the entire continent. Okay, we got to go to the capital, Teth. We got to go to the capital. It's been a while since I've worked with the casters, but I was in pretty well with the king, and his public funeral is coming up, and I was one of the guests of honor. So I think that I probably should go, right?
Makes sense.
I was thinking we got some armor pieces, things we got to drop off down south in New Ponteg, and then we can head on west.
How long you thinking? This short jaunt?
Well, it could be as long or as short as you'd like if we take the cerebral path. I know that you know that.
Of course.
It's kind of why I was hoping you would come with me. I'm scared to go down there by myself. You know, I'm no spring chicken.
Of course.
Wonderful. Well,
Is he-
I'll get my stuff together.
Is
I mean, he's old.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is he usually just a short human, or is he?
He's a human. Yeah, he's a short human.
Yeah. Of course, you've helped me a lot, so there's many favors that I owe you. So, not that I'm keeping a list.
Well, I mean, saving you all those years ago was it turned out to be the biggest blessing. So you don't owe me anything.
I disagree.
If any, well, you are very kind. Let's get this stuff together. I'll keep working on this, and some other day we'll head out to the city down south.
Make sure you bring food, because I will not be bringing food unless you give me
Food, food. Every time I forget the food every time. So he'll turn around, kind of go around the outside of his little working area, and there's an ice chest that he keeps some food in. And it's not uncommon for him to get lost in his work and just kind of grab things, little snacks here and there, kind of to and from his shop, just to keep him going. And all of the food inside of the ice chest is bad. He's got some fish in there that has long rotted. Maybe some wilder game, some deer or some elk. None of it is usable. It's probably been in there for months at this point, and it's it's not a very well sealed ice chest either. For a grand artificer, he really does not put in a lot of effort for his own home or workshop. So the ice is all melted. It's just like rotting food floating in water at this point. And he'll turn back to you and he'll say, I did it again. Well, let's gather this stuff up and
I think this might be beyond trying to purify.
I think so. I never tire of your sense of humor. Thank you very much. And he will just climb up onto your shoulders. Like maybe he's even built like a little ladder onto the back of your leg, like running up your back. And he'll just climb up onto your shoulder.
Like a small adjustable 4-foot ladder, and just hooks it on.
Yeah. And he will ride you out of the cave. And you walk out of the cave. This is located at the base of one of the shorter mountains of the Pangor Range. I will move you back to the full map.
Pangor.
Which is in the southwest of the continent. And you make your way, maybe a half a day's walk, down to New Ponteg. You are heading through one of the local shopping areas. It is kind of the general congregating area of the town that isn't meant for tourism. So a lot of New Ponteg, especially close to the coast, is marketed for some of the more rich citizens of the continent where they go to vacation. The weather is always nice there, and they have good views of forests to the east, snowy mountain peaks to the northwest, and of course, beautiful ocean waters to the south. So it's a very nice place to go and relax if you have the money to do it. You are avoiding that section of town and just going to drop off some goods. And as you are walking up to kind of this storefront, Zethlo climbs down your back and he grabs a pack from your side, and he says, "It'll just be 1 minute. I'm gonna run in, drop this off, get paid. We can grab some food. Be right back."
Of course.
As you are waiting for him outside, you see a younger gentleman shopping the wares at the front of the same store that Zethlo walked in. He's just kind of window shopping, looking what they have for sale. He's got a really nice top coat on, what looks like a very well crafted, possibly velvet or a really nice suede top hat. Um, and he's just checking out what this smith shop is working on. Trent, would you like to describe what your character looks like at the present, not when he's a 9-year-old boy?
Okay, yes. So at the present, I loved your description. That sounds great. So the top hat, top coat, very well dressed. Would probably argue that he probably has like a favorite sort of outfit he wears. Like he could afford to buy lots of really fancy, nice things, but he still chooses comfort because he's not all about image or anything like that. So luxurious, but maybe a little understated. He also, now that he's an adult, he does have a mechanical arm. So that's probably, and it's not something that he's ashamed of or anything, so he wouldn't really be hiding it. If I'm there checking various objects in the storefront, I'll happily be using my arm to be inspecting things and all of that.
How did Vern lose his arm?
Well, ever write about that? I kind of forget.
I don't think you were specific about it.
Yeah,
I think it was
I
just
was either.
an
I think
accident.
Yeah, because it was like, I was always impressed. If we think back to my flashback, Harriet, right? She was dabbling with all the little mechanical things, and I thought that was really pretty cool. And so I started to also kind of take an interest in tinkering. And because I have the money, I could afford to build, like, bigger machines and conveyor belts and, like, factories. And so somewhere along the lines, I was a little absent-minded and got my arm torn off in something that I was working on.
Oops.
Yep, but
Oopsie
fortunately, when
daisy.
you're wealthy enough, you can fix it. So, and that's what I did.
So Zethlo, he finishes up what he's working on, and he starts walking out of the shop, and your arm catches his eye, and he looks at that, and even more intently, he looks at your other hand, and he's never been one with much inhibition, so he looks back at Teth, and he goes, Teth, this is an innovator. I can tell by his look. I can tell by his smile. What's your name, son?
Oh, well, hello. My name is Vern Wellerby, and I very graciously shake his hand. And
That's a nice grip there. There's a magical. Is this magical bronze?
well, you have a very good eye. You obviously know your stuff. Yes, a little bit imbued with some arcane magic and made of the finest bronze.
See, Teth, I know my materials. Don't I know my metals? Don't I know my metals, Teth?
You know better than anybody that I've ever met.
I'm telling you, this is a great arm. Did you make this?
I've sort of been like working with it as I gotten better, but actually a good friend of mine crafted this particular item for me.
Very
She
nice.
does
Very
a
nice.
better job than me. I tend to be more of like the idea person. I like to draw up the blueprints for things, but when it comes to actually working, I'm a little clumsy. So, yeah.
He'll
But
he'll.
my arm though. I mean, I'm glad you think it's so impressive, but this young man, who might you be?
Are you are you pointing at Teth?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
tall one.
Okay.
The little young man.
Yeah, Zethlo will laugh at you and he'll say, "Yeah, he's real young, real young."
Yeah, but fine craftsmanship. Wow, this is he's a machine, right? He's not a is he a golem or he's a machine, right?
He's a warforged, so
Yeah,
he is crafted from arcane metals and woods.
Yeah, may I touch?
I mean,
Do
he's got a
you-
personality, so you gotta ask him.
I was asking him. I was looking right at him. May I touch you?
What are you touching?
That's what I want to.
Your penis, of
Whatever you want me
course.
to touch, baby. No, I want to just like feel, maybe like an arm, like see as if I was like gripping like a bicep or something. Like,
So Teth will reach out his arm like this and just extend it towards him.
very impressive. Amazing craftsmanship, and you've really taken great care of yourself.
It's all Zethlo.
I
A
looked at
constant
Zethlo.
infusion of ZQL.
You, sir, have done a fantastic job with this. I am most impressed, and I give a little tip of my hat to Zethlo.
Well, you seem like an affluent type, right?
So I've been told. Yes.
I'm just now thinking. Normally, it's just Teth and I. We have a pretty long journey ahead of us, and another body might not hurt. Would you happen to have the time to come out to the capital with us?
Well, time is something that I have in abundance of. And that sounds great. Let me just check again. I want to pull out like a map or something. I want to see the distance between. Yeah, yes, and I'm pointing to various places along the way to the capital. We're gonna cover a lot of ground, aren't we?
Yes, of course.
Ooh, that's good. That's
it-
really good. I would love to come along with you. Very easily won over.
Zethlo is surprised. He can't believe that you actually said yes. And he goes. He'll extend his right hand on purpose, so that you shake with your human hand, and he'll extend his right arm out to you.
Yes.
Because
okay.
your left arm was
Yes,
the
yes,
one
yes,
that
right.
was
I
ripped
was
off, right?
trying to think about how shaking works. So I was like, okay, yes. Okay. Hearty handshake. A little weaker of a grip this time around.
And he'll hold on to your hand, and he'll look you right in the eyes, and he'll say, "It's not just tools and weapons and metals that I can sense. Some draconic origins here."
Ooh, you are really talented. Yes, it's in my bloodline, my history. I inherited a few tricks, you know.
And he'll kind of look down at the bronze arm, and he'll say, "It's a nice familial touch."
Yes. Do you want to see a little trick? I want to use my hand and just with the tiniest bit of my electric magic, like make his hair right. Make his hair like
Yeah,
like
he
stand
does
up.
have hair, yeah.
Yeah.
He'll kind of just like get a shiver, like a body shiver, because he's very small, so it affects him in a larger way.
Oh, yeah.
And oh, that is the effect of a bronze dragon if I've ever seen one.
Mhm.
Yes, you will be much help in our journey. Much help.
Oh, good.
All right,
I love being of help. I really do.
We're onward to food. Young Vern, what's your favorite place to eat in New Pontic?
Oh well, you know what? This might surprise you actually, but although I dress like this and come from, you know, a pretty successful family line, I love this place called the Grease Pit.
Yeah.
So good, just hearty, down to earth cooking.
All right. So Vern will lead
New
the other two.
Pontic, wealthy New
the-
Pontic.
Yeah.
The Grease.
Yeah. So you'll kind of make your way around this sales area, kind of past all of the vendors, past carts full of really nice, probably very healthy food, just passing all of this really delicious looking things up. And you turn down a nice alleyway, and you run into a average sized elf. You kind of bump into each other walking around the corner. So you have three figures just run into you, Eric. What are you gonna do? Maybe you were carrying something and they fell out, a bunch of stuff from your shop. They fell out of your hands.
Oh, what's the hurry? I don't know. Just
Oh, I'm so sorry, my good man. But I mean, do you want to join us? We were all going to grab a little bit of lunch. Everybody's invited.
I'm hungry, but where are you going?
Only the
Going
best place in all of New Pontag.
Okay, well, you guys are going the wrong direction. Are you sure?
This is the alleyway that winds to the little hole in the wall grease pit, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah. My my companion, Strong Boy, he's a greyhound. He enjoys their food.
Good. Well, Strong Boy is welcome too. And is Strong Boy with him? Strong Boy with you?
Yeah, I think if I'm walking through town, he
Okay.
just kind of
I want to give a very
awfully
cheerful
cheese.
little smile and kind of crouch down and offer a hand to sniff before I hopefully safely pet him.
He's not that
Ma-
sort of, dog.
Make a performance check.
Okay.
This is how you lose your other hand.
I know. I was just thinking that. I was wondering like which hand should I actually.
Eric's just like, easy, boy, easy.
Ooh, I got a natural 20.
You may as
It's
well have
5.
known this dog for 20 years. He's very friendly to you. Actually, just like circumvents your hand and just kind of jumps up onto your body and starts licking your face and just like
Oh,
whining in delight. Like he's just so excited to see you, almost like he can sense some of the pets that you have at home, and he just loves that you are there.
who's a good boy? Who's a good boy?
And Eric's, inflection kind of changes when he sees the delight of, Strong Boy to meet Vern. Well, I don't know you guys. We haven't introduced ourselves. This is Strong Boy, and I am Eric. I was headed back home from the library, but yeah, I suppose Strong Boy needs to get some rations and can head with you.
Well, wonderful. Does that sound good to you, strong boy?
Yeah, Strong Boy is all on board with whatever Vern wants to do. He's like, yeah, sign me up.
Good.
If Eric wants to go and Vern wants to go, he's down. The better.
There you go.
Is he slow?
Yeah.
We should ask him too, right? Is that what we're doing?
What?
He points towards.
Oh. Oh. Right. Going to the capital. Yes. Sir, Eric, I believe. Yes. Are you a resident of New Pontig?
Yeah, absolutely. My family's lived here many years. Why do you ask?
Have you ever been to the capital, Eric?
I can unfortunately say I have. I don't wish to return, but duty calls. What's the objective here?
Well, I'm kind of creating a group of people to journey over there to the capital. The king, as I'm sure you know, has passed away. Sadly, may he rest in heaven. And
Not at
I
all.
have to go.
You may not rest at all.
Wow. Oh, okay. Well, clearly there are some opinions there.
Is this your group?
At the moment, yes.
Mm. Well,
Well, let's get food first. Let's find some food, and we'll discuss over a meal. How does that sound?
um, I am willing. Yes.
So Zethlo will kind of redirect the group down the winding alley to the grease pit, and you walk through the door. And for now, we're going to leave that section of the party behind, and we are going to travel up to the opposite end of the continent, to the small village of Glave's Edge.
Oh wow.
Crowbar, it has been a month and a half since the events outside of the Castor compound. You found yourself back home. What have you been doing this whole time?
Kind of, I guess living more of a hermit, solitary kind of life in the forest east of the mountain range. He feels enough of a need to protect the village that he'll patrol the borders and watch for any threats, but not enough that he ventures in more often than he has to for supplies or things of that nature.
So, go ahead,
yeah,
sorry.
that's it. Go ahead.
Okay. Glave's Edge famously produced the first champion of the Tithes. So they are a very war-forward tribe, as you know. So when you got back, and you weren't a winner, but you weren't a loser, they were very interested in how you got back. Everybody seems to be kind of walking on eggshells around you, though. Nobody wants to directly ask you. But you'll notice at different times of the day, like pretty far off, like maybe a mile away, or kind of behind a rock, or hiding behind a tree, or looking at you from behind a half wall, people will be watching you pretty much all the time because they are interested in how you survived, and the fact that you walked out of a tithing alive. And one day, you, to your surprise, as this has been a month of this, nobody approaching you, they kind of take your vigilance for granted at this point because they know that you'll patrol and they know that you'll protect them. But they're almost like they're afraid of you. Like, how did he get out? He must have just shed so much blood to get out of there alive. One day, this particular day, as you are sitting in the solitude of your forest, a figure will approach you that you recognize very well. And it is, you can see them approach from far away. And actually, make a perception check for me, please.
Okay. Uh, 15.
With a 15, it would be unmistakable. You would recognize Cerberus walking up to your location from about a mile away.
Okay.
And he is
I'll be tentative about it.
okay. He's going to keep walking to your location. He doesn't look angry. If anything, he looks annoyed that he has to be there.
Does he look like he's here to see me?
There's nobody else around. You're the only one he's walking
He's not
towards.
just wandering towards the city like I need to step in front of him or something.
No. It seems to be decidedly in your direction.
Okay.
He'll stop maybe 100 paces away.
Yep.
And he'll... Are you watching him? Do you want to watch to see? Okay.
He's gonna approach him.
You'll go to him.
I'll ask him what business do you have here?
From the distance, he'll yell out to you. He'll kind of put his two hands up, and he'll say, "I know neither of us wants to see the other one. I was forced to come out here to give you something from the casters.
Fair enough.
He'll start
he'll go
slowly
up and take
walking.
It. Yeah.
Okay. And it is a scroll, and he will hand it to you. I'll say, I wasn't planning on seeing any of you people, maybe ever again. I really didn't want to, but it's a pretty forceful invitation for you. So, guess I'll see you in a couple weeks. And he will abruptly turn and walk back down the hillside that he came up.
Okay.
I'd like you to make a Dex save.
Ah. Okay. 3. That is a 15. Good.
Yeah, low DC for that one. So yeah, would you like to open the scroll?
Yeah.
The scroll is in very plain terms an invitation for you to attend the funeral of the king of Azura. And listed in the document, chapter 1, Michael would have typed this out and given you all an image. I will at some point, I think, in the future, just so we can all remember what it says. But in a number of words, it is an invitation to attend his funeral, and in very plain terms, it says that it's required for you.
Okay.
It is not asking you to attend. It is telling you that you have to be there in 5 days.
Okay.
As a guest of honor. And make another perception check for me.
11.
11, you sense that you're being watched again. And it feels much closer than normal. It's also weird that you would have this much interaction with anybody once, let alone multiple times.
Okay.
And you would notice that off to your left, kind of hidden in some bushes and some brush, is a small half-orc boy. He sees that he's been found out, and he kind of dives back into the bushes really quickly, but he notices that he's been found out. So kind of sheepishly, he gets back up.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll say, "Sorry, Mr. Kobar. I didn't mean to watch you, but that guy was walking up to see you, and I didn't want you to have to fight him alone."
I admire that young one, but it's very stupid of you to do. Can't say I wouldn't do that myself, though.
Yeah, my dad calls me stupid sometimes too.
Wow, Crowbar's an asshole.
And he'll say, "What's that in your hands?" I'll kind of point up. This is like a 10-year-old kid, 10, 11-year-old. So he's not super young. He's definitely starting the training program that you went through, but he's also not combat ready either.
Yeah. Let's say it's a weapon that you obtain when you're done doing stupid things.
And he'll say, I was talking about the paper. But that's a cool weapon too. I'll give you a thumbs up.
He'll lean into the kid and say, "Some of us are not immune to being stupid."
You and me both, Mr. Crowbar. Anyway,
sorry. I was going to
go
say,
ahead.
from one stupid person to another, I got an invitation to go see the king at his funeral.
Oh, are you going to do it?
It seems like I don't have much of a choice.
He'll kind of look back at the village, and he'll look at you. And he'll say, I've never been outside of the village. Could I go with you? Could I go with you?
I couldn't take you with me in good conscience without at least consulting the elders.
Yeah, that's right. Well, the other kids that are in the program and I are really happy that you're back home. So I feel a lot safer with you here. So when you do go, maybe don't go away for so long. I'll kind of give you a shrug.
I'll see what I can do.
And then he'll say, he's dejected at this point. You denied his call for adventure. And he'll say, all right then.
Apart from asking the elders, yeah, he's not turning it down.
And he'll kind of turn and start walking away back towards the village. And he'll stop for a second, lift his head back up, turn back to see you. And he says, you were being serious about asking the elder? Like, could we go right now?
Crowbar will take another look around, see if there's anything else to address in the forest.
There's nothing
If
else
not,
to
then
address.
sure.
Great. So you and this boy are gonna start walking down to speak with the elders of your village to see if he can accompany you to the capital. You enter the village, the temple that the elders kind of operate out of it's not a very big village. It's kind of the central point of all of the other huts around. So you don't have a very long walk, and you enter this very well lit, very well kept, but humble room with five elders, five leaders sitting amongst the room. They are not in session right now, so they don't look very official, but they are still all there. And one of the elders, it seems to be the youngest of all of them, looks up, and she is very surprised to see Crowbar of the Valley actually inside the village walls.
Mm-hmm.
And she'll look up at you, and she'll look at the boy, and back to you, to say, to what do we owe the pleasure, Crowbar?
The boy desires to become my ward. I have no objections to bringing him with me, but I leave it to your discretion.
Right to the point, as always, I see. For what purpose does he want to travel with you?
It seems he has the same bloodlust and thirst for adventure that I share.
Bloodlust. A founding principle of our village. Others, gather. And the other four kind of slowly make their way back around this central table. One of them is so old. He's so old. He's the last one to get there. He sits down at the table. He's like, and he says, "Where are you going?"
To the king's funeral in the capital.
King is dead? King is dead?
Yes.
Oh. The younger one that you were talking to before, she says, "We've told him every day since it happened. It's just not sticking." I would say get the consent of the parent, and it is fine with us. I'm sure he would find the same amount of training out with you as he would within our walls.
I will do that.
she'll say, I bid you good day, Crowbar. Stay safe.
Yep. He'll just nod and walk out.
Upon exiting the temple, the boy will look up at you, almost crying. You can see tears kind of welling in his eyes. And he'll say, Mr. Crowbar, I lied to you before. I don't really have any parents, so I guess that's all the permission I need.
He's gonna kind of give him a look for a second because he was in a similar situation. After thinking for a second, he'll kind of kneel down next to him and just kind of whisper like, "You want to see something cool?"
He'll use one of his hands to wipe some of the tears away, and he'll say, "Yes, please."
All right. He'll ask him to follow him. Then he'll walk.
You
him
will
to
follow.
He'll walk him to the grove in the clearing where he grew his workbench.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The kid will say, "What does the bench look like now?"
It looks like it's like a, like when somebody will like grow a chair, like grown furniture.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally going to look like a big giant grown like anvil surface.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like kind of leafy, but mostly branches.
Nice.
He'll lay the glaive down on it and just start to sharpen it and take care of it. Is the kid doing anything at this point?
He'll just be. He's never seen a piece of furniture. I guess you can call it furniture, even though it's out in nature. He's never seen a piece like this before. So perfectly crafted to what you needed it to be. He's kind of like running his hands across it, just touching it to make sure he's not seeing things. And he says, "Did you make this?"
He'll say, this station that I made took months to grow, and it took a lot of nurturing. The kind of nurturing you'll never get inside the village. I treat my station as well as my weapon with the same type of respect. And it's that same type of respect that I expect you to learn while you're with me. So that one day you may go from being a cub to a bear.
A huge smile springs onto his face, and he will say, I didn't think that you would say yes today. This is so wow, thank you, Mr. Crowbar. This is so exciting." And he'll like he can't contain it, like little kids just like get so excited about stuff, like his body just like
Yeah. I'm gonna like sharply interrupt him and say, I haven't said yes yet, but I will on one condition.
Okay, what is it?
You haven't told me your name yet. What is it?
That's a good question.
Got him.
Oh shit!
Anybody ever play God of War?
Yeah, it's basically where this is kind of
boy.
going.
Yeah.
Atreus.
Boy.
Atreus.
He'll say, "My name is Elias."
Okay. Elias the Cub.
He'll like go. He'll start to go in to like hug your leg because he's still kind of short, and he'll stop himself, back up, and extend his hand out to shake your hand.
He'll kneel down and do kind of the that, the arm.
Predator handshake.
He will accept that as a good middle ground. That'll be
Yeah. Well,
nice
it's going to be the
go-between.
equivalent of real life when you do this, but like that.
Yeah. Gotcha. And you have made a bond, and you are on your way.
All right.
All right, we're gonna shift now up to the sandy desert town of Farinth. Urzok, the Eternal Blade. It has been a month and a half since the events of the clearing outside of the Castor compound. What have you been doing, and where are you now?
I have a question for you.
Yes,
Where is the biggest library in the continent?
the biggest library in the continent. There are two options. There's one that is standing currently that everybody and anyone with a decent level of intellect would know. And that is in the Hall of Two Beginnings. And that's in the northwest. That's the biggest full library with like lore and scrolls written about history, like throughout history, things documenting the time and history of the continent. There's also a rather large library in the Castor compound, but that is more like tactical journals and Castor history, like things written by the victor. So it's more for Castor use and like scout training. Then the third one is it's more of a mythical location. It is not necessarily known to exist in this present time, but that is the Library of the Winged Tome.
Okay.
Rumored to be located somewhere inside of the Pangor Range, but after a large accident, a large avalanche happened there long ago, and it's never been able to be found. So people that live now aren't sure that it exists at all.
Urzok would probably have returned maybe for a week or so, kind of entertain pleasantries,
Mhm.
debriefed the temple and order and what happened, and he probably would have headed off to the Hall of Two Beginnings. He's gonna be trying to, as much as a 7 foot tall, bulky dragonborn can be incognito. He's just really gonna have just like a big cape that he keeps over his or a hood over his head.
Mm-hmm.
And he's gonna go to the library and he's going to start researching several things. He's looking for anything that he could find regarding Shaw's race or any mention of demons or a bloodline of special meaning, anything of that sort at all. We known that I don't know if she actually said it out loud or not. But is she from Mir, the area?
She is.
So I guess anything, especially pertaining to folklore in that kind of area.
I believe that was in the.
I don't know if that was a prologue or if she talked about that. Could have been a cerebral realm thing too.
Let's see. Oh, it's not in the status of the tithe document. You are correct, though. I had it written down somewhere, and I can't remember where it was. But yes, you are correct. You remember that correctly.
So he is looking into that, as well as legends, tales, folklores about Visick and Flynn as well.
So right off the bat, one of the most prominent things, kind of as you're going through the fluff sections of the library, the things that most people want as they go there are like the folk tales and the more popular stories that people can read and pass down to their families. The Hall of Two Beginnings is not a place that people frequent. And it's a place that most creatures in the continent never end up going to, either because they just can't make the journey. It's pretty far away for most people, or they don't have the means. They don't have a justification to get there. They can't stop their lives for long enough to go there and make it worth it and then come back. So it is largely vacant when you get there. Very well kept. It is a very large marble building. It's beautifully constructed. The legend says that when it was built directly after the Two-Faced War, that it took up to 3 years to build because they wanted it to be perfect, and it wasn't built by any type of monarchy. It was built by people from all different bloodlines coming together to try and make something good after such a dark time. So it is a beacon of legend, but also a beacon of hope for a lot of people. So going there is a very special thing. As they try and put the most readable, the most universally acceptable texts in the front rooms. And as you start moving into this building, this historical building, you start to get to the more historical texts written by mages that lived throughout the history of Azura. Why don't you make a history check and an arcana check for me, please?
All right, history is a 18.
Okay.
Arcana is a 15.
And then could you also make a nature check for me?
Dirty 20.
Okay. So with the 20 on nature, you're going to look into Mir first. It's something that interests you. Shaw struck a chord with you, and seeing her be pulled into that portal, seeing the look on her face when she had to walk through that threshold against her will, has stuck with you. So you look up some old survival texts. You start there, and you find that a lot of what Mir is known for is just natural magic. People go there to learn about the land, learn about nature, learn about different plants, a lot of different wildlife, a lot of different animal life is throughout. It exists throughout the continent, but most of that is located within the forest surrounding Mir. So it has a very dense wildlife population there that seems to only grow. Mir is known for being very of the land. Its inhabitants are very reclusive, but they seem to value natural balance over anything else. They want to give back to the land. They want to live off the land, and the things that they do take, they want to use all of. They're very into not wasting a single thing. With the history check of 18, you would, through your studies, how long are you there?
I mean, honestly, until he finds answers. Until he finds a lead that he can literally go somewhere else and either find another place with better information or somewhere to start kicking up rocks to find answers.
We'll say you're there for. We'll put you there for almost a month, like 3.5 weeks. You're there studying. In that time, you would uncover what seems to be tellings of what was an ancient race that has survived into the present time. There are orcs that live there. It's a very dark forest, so there are orcs that live there. There are several sects of drow, dark elves that live there, and there are tellings of some hags that make their homes there as well. And you come upon a small pamphlet. It's really thin, probably 6-7 pages long, just detailing races within that section of the continent. And it lists 6 of them. So you have orcs, you have drow, you have forest elves or wood elves, you have hags, you have Asimar, which you would remember Adira is from a city very close to there. And the very last one shows a very rough sketch of what seems to be a man in warrior's garb with blue skin, and it just says above it, Dampier.
No time. Dampir.
Dhampir.
Does the sketch have any like wings or horns or anything that would kind of
So
call back to
it
Shaw?
it shows him standing upright, you know, feet square, shoulders square, arms at his sides, and it seems like his face and his body have been colored in with some types of dye. Blue skin, pale blue skin, purplish hair, and then it shows the outline of wings drawn behind him, not colored in.
Okay. Before I elaborate on that, what was the other check you had me make? Arcana. Was there anything on
Arcana, and that was a 15.
That sounds right. Yeah.
I wrote them down.
Good. I'm sorry. Was there?
That's all the information that is
Okay.
given in that pamphlet. It's just the names of races and a picture example of those races.
I was saying, was there anything? Did anything come to fruition on the Arcana, or is that everything?
Yes. So
Okay.
you get through all of that and you turn your focus onto Visic. You try and approach this from one of 2 ways. You go through the historical line of the casters, and you also try and look through the records of historical Arcana users, because you know that he is a magical being, and you know that he was pretty underground for most of his time in the continent. You could at least have gleaned that, as all of the tales that you read about Visic end about 160 years ago, 200 years ago, when he quote unquote died. A lot of the things written about him after that were either slander pieces, or like children's stories, family stories of how he led the conquering of 2 nations at once. It is very black and white how he is represented, depending on where it's written, what the city of origin of the text may be. So, searching back through Arcana, you will find that throughout history, you start to piece together a pattern of little pockets of time where children have been recruited to become a magical hero in different versions of that phrase. That's used in a lot of different things. Texts from New Panteg, texts from the capital, texts from any major city across the continent. There is some form of evidence that at one point throughout history, after Visik's death, seemingly every 30, 40 years or so, there would be 15 to 20 kids that were, with parental permission, essentially drafted into a small army. And the way that they would be taken is eerily similar to how much Visik seemed to need Shaw. They seemed to be children that were gifted or would express some sort of aptitude for magic or found themselves in the wrong place at the wrong time, like Shaw did with the tithes. So there must have been something that she was able to do that he wanted, and these kids seem to fall in line with that same order of thinking. There's nothing specific on Visik that you can find, but that is the pattern that you have found.
Urzak has a moment where he's like, was I adopted by Visik as a kid? My entire childhood a lie?
Oh God.
Like, oh no, I have the soul of a dragon living in this sword to prove otherwise.
Yes, you are good to go. So as you're reading this, again, you've been there for maybe 3 weeks at this point, 3.5 weeks, deep in research the whole time. It took a long time to specifically piece that together, and then look through books to find the things that you needed. On this particular day, we'll jump to the present where you are now. You are in a sanctum or a, you know, wherever the books are that you were looking at, and one of the orderlies that helps keep the library up will approach you, and he'll slowly say, kind of tentatively, because you're a big dragon and he is a small human, he'll say, "Excuse me, sir. I don't mean to bother you. I know that you're deep in thought. Is your name by chance Urzak?"
I suppose that depends who's asking.
Well, normally I wouldn't impose, sir, but there is a very upset client at the front desk, and he insists that you need to come with him. I didn't really have the guts to tell him no, so I told him I would try and come find you. Can you please help me?
This man, what does he look like?
He's got a beard, he's got a hook hand, and I didn't want to really mess with him because he started yelling very quickly.
All right. And he kind of looks around the books and just like this. It's like the when Charlie and Always Sunny goes crazy and he has the board with all the strings. So the desk looks like this. He kind of scratches his head. And he says, I'll come back, clean this up. Just take it to him."
Of course. So you follow this orderly back through all of the stacks of reading materials and scrolls and books and tomes that you have gone through, all the way back up to the front foyer of this pristine building. And as you pass through the doorway into this front hall, you see one unrecognizable face who is presumably the hook-handed bearded man that was yelling at this orderly. And just behind him, to the right, decked out in caster regalia, dressed just like Daunt, is Brackle Baff.
Herzog's just gonna walk up to the hook hand man, say, "Sir, this is a place of learning. Please mind your manners."
Mind my manners? This person wouldn't tell me where you were. All I wanted to do was walk in and find you. He wouldn't give me your location. And so I said, maybe I will just rip up all your books.
Should we step outside?
Maybe we should.
And Herzog
It'd
will
be best for the books, I think.
Herzog will turn and extend a hand out to Brackle.
Yeah.
Old friend.
He shakes it, of course.
How are things with the casters?
Well, I think that's a little bit of what we're here to talk about.
Let a real big sigh and say, "Grace." Well, let's step outside.
Brackle, you have Herzog's scroll in your hand as well.
Okay.
It's pretty beneath Daunt to deliver that message himself.
So
he's gonna make you do
Cerberus
it.
delivering.
Huge slap in the face to Cerberus. Yes.
Well, I suppose I'll get this out of the way here quick, and he hands you the scroll.
And just like the one that you saw Crowbar receive, you are basically told you have to attend the king's funeral in 5 days.
And what is the meaning of this?
Well,
I'll look to
you
Devonta.
you were there when he died, and now you're a guest of honor at his funeral.
I don't believe that for half a second.
Okay. Well, you're required to be there, so follow us back, or
hold
else.
Or else what?
Or else we'll bring the caster army and make you follow us back.
Well, it's true. You would need an entire army. He's just gonna stand really imposingly. I'm sure Daunt doesn't give a shit, but Herzog's trying to be intimidating.
I mean, you're way taller than he is. He's like 5'5". Think like Danny DeVito with a Napoleon complex.
Urzak, I'm sure you can read between the lines.
And he's going to turn around. Daunt will turn around and stick his hand out to one of the other. He has like, we'll say 5 or 6 other guards with him, and he'll turn around to one of the other guys and he'll grab a small stepping stool from him, put it down on the ground, step up, so he's almost at your height, and he'll kind of like peer up at you like this, and he'll be like, "Your friend Brackle got one too, and he's going, and all of your other friends got one too, and they're going. So you're going."
Why don't we go catch up?
So can we talk without this walking complex following us around?
He is my superior officer.
Right. We'll talk bad about him when he can't hear us.
Are you saying this in front of him?
No.
Okay.
Probably like as they're walking away.
Okay, gotcha.
Daunt will like I mean, he's hot-headed and he is ridiculous, but he isn't that dumb to know that his way is not working. So he'll kind of like give you a side eye and be like, yeah, go and
General,
try and convince him.
Please leave it to me.
He'll nod toward you, and then he'll turn back to the guy, and he's like, where's your
Oh.
section of books about gardening? And
Yeah, I'll look
he
over
will-
to Arizak and be like,
walk into the library.
surprisingly, a very green thumb.
Only one though, just the left one.
Yeah.
Crackle.
Yeah. So you have
I'll yell at Don. I say, Don, please play nice with the librarian. He's just be nice.
He does not hear you. He already has the page like by the scruff of his shirt, and
God
is
damn
like
it.
telling him to take him to the gardening and holistic gardening section.
Let's go grab a drink.
So there is a small community outside of this place, mostly made up of people that run the hall and intellectuals that frequent it. But there is a small tavern, so you can head on over. It's about 20 feet away from the Hall of Two Beginnings.
Ursak will order a water.
I'll order whatever their local drink would be, I suppose. Inferent? Or are you is it this Inferent still, or it's not?
This is
Inferent?
not. So this
That's
is
right.
yeah, this is up at the Hall of Two Beginnings. So up at
Oh,
the
yeah.
up here.
I'd grab whatever the local drink would be.
Yeah, they have some fine liqueurs. Not anything really rugged. Pretty much whatever they can distill from the plant life up here. So it's a lot of like herbal based drinks, like some gins or vermouths maybe that they can get from like jasmines or rosemary, things like that.
Okay. So I think you can assume that I've been dealing with a lot of politics since the king's death and some calling it the failure of the 49th tithes unfinished. But I've also been doing a lot of research, as I assuming you are as well.
Crackle. I'm going to speak very clearly with you. If and when we go to this event, they're going to execute us. That's the only logical caster thing to do in this situation. They need somebody to blame for these events. They need to sweep it under the rug. They're going to murder us in cold blood. They're going to do that anyway. Why wouldn't I not do that on my own terms?
While I would usually agree with you, and may still yet, I don't know the complete layout of what is going to be happening. I do have some certain assurances. We may not be walking into a unjust execution.
But just or unjust, it's the casters we're talking about. You should know better than anybody. Why are you still with them? After everything you've seen.
Because now is the time where I can make the most difference. With the king dying, the unrest, and the gossip and rumors running around about Robert Visick, as we know, this is the perfect time for political moves to be made. To put yourself in places of more import and make changes from the top down, changes from within.
Who's the acting king now, anyway?
Yeah.
There is no acting king. It kind of goes by the next chain of command will just take over temporarily, which typically would have been Cerberus, but he ran away the night of, and as he was going away, Daunt was bringing his troops back in, and he took that position the night of and just the day after. So he is in charge right now. Nobody really respects him on a general level. Sorry, on the level of the other generals, they do not respect him. His old battalion is just more fervent than ever of supporters of him. So it's been a rocky month and a half for caster leadership because he is technically in charge, but he is finding opposition from every general, from every area, all at once, pretty much.
We have been working. I've been working tirelessly with Daunt to station him as the acting commander of the casters. I have known Daunt longer than anybody here in the capital. The only person I've known longer are those back in Ismail, my mining town. We've been able to station him as the temporary leader, however, not without its issues. So
That guy, the hook hand, the hothead.
I know he comes off as rough, and he is.
Rough is not what I'm worried about. He's a moron.
Yes. A lot of times, it's easy to hide within a fool's visage.
I mean, Brackle, the last king, was an idiot. That guy.
He was an idiot through and through. If you haven't noticed, most of his guard, and well, I guess maybe you haven't, most of his guard and his battalions are made up of largely warrior bards.
And
And they will sing you to death.
And we will sing you to death. We are.
I'll put some earplugs in.
We're easy to hide our true personalities. It's more dangerous of an enemy when you don't know what they are truly capable of. Anyways, there's no getting out of this invitation, unfortunately. You've been tithed again, essentially. Just haven't been kidnapped this time.
No, honestly,
What?
I preferred when Guile did it.
Me too.
He at least
I
knew
didn't.
what he was.
I didn't have to deal with the travel time and. But
Well,
what
I'll
about
do
you?
it.
What have you been after you left? What have you been up to?
Well, I'm looking for answers. I'm looking for real justice. Can't forget what they've done to Shaw. The rest of our friends. We have to stop him. If not we, then I will.
Oh,
He's been a scourge on this land since before this was Azura. Somebody has to do something about it.
I would agree with you more than you know. But I've been doing my own research down in the capital as well. We have our libraries and research positions. We've been looking into Visik's past as well as any type of information on Shaw.
And
Maybe it'll be easier to show you back in the capital what I found. Bring whatever research you have as well, and we can convene there. We don't have to travel back with Daunt if you don't like. We can travel just us two.
prefer to travel alone, if I'm being quite honest.
That's fine as well. Just be sure to be there within 5 days.
Right.
Yep, we'll give him a handshake. And just say, it's good to see you.
Be safe.
All right. We are going to now fast track 5 days. And you are now all approaching at different times the caster compound. For the first time, other than Crackle, the other tithes are seeing the front of the compound during the day. This is the first time you have essentially gone into this situation as a citizen, as a spectator, and not as the one being watched. You're we'll say Crowbar gets there first. You're the closest, and you started moving out that way the earliest. Crowbar, you are walking into these huge front doors into this front foyer. The grand foyer where you have visceral memories of fighting a ghost in the cerebral realm and almost getting eaten by a Dracolich. And you have the first day when you came out and you were led across the hall to eat the foods that you love the most in the world, only to be led out to battle moments later. And all of these things are flashing back at you, and you can't help but think that you're coming back here just a little bit too soon. But you have your ward with you. Little Elias is tagging behind you very close. And you look up, and walking down the main staircase to greet you is Bracklebaff. He came back right away after meeting with Urzok, and he is there to greet all of you as you arrive.
Crowbar. It's good to see you. Please let me open the door for you. No need to kick it down.
Did Crowbar see him lose his wig?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, okay.
But my hair's back on now, but yeah.
Oh, okay. You grew your hair back, I see.
You could say
I trust this time around. I have a lot less to worry about.
I can never say that's true. Not here.
I'll kind of just whisper to the boy, like, stay on your guard.
And who is this?
This is Elias, my ward. I've taken him in as he showed a certain eagerness to travel.
How are you, Elias? Have you been training with Crowbar?
He'll kind of look at you and look up at Crowbar. He'll look back at you, kind of still half behind Crowbar's body,
Mm.
It's been good. It's been cool. It's been good.
Well, just stick with Crowbar. You'll be fine, I'm sure. Stay near him. And
almost too excitedly, he'll be like, "Oh yeah, he's the best."
Calm down.
Be sure not to venture the compounds without him.
And he'll kind of check himself and be like, "Okay, all right." He seems a little bit more comfortable now.
So like walking into the compound now, are there like decorations everywhere? Does it seem more of like a somber event or a celebration?
Sorry, I'll be right back.
Or
Okay. It definitely is it is a very dramatic celebration.
okay.
You would know, at least now there have been planners, like royal planners, all throughout the compound for weeks. That's why it's taken a month and a half to plan this event, to invite everybody that they wanted to invite. Almost as if the king, when he became the king, just decided how he wanted his funeral to be, and that's how he spent his time, is deciding how he wanted to be celebrated after his death, regardless of how he died.
Not uncommon.
So it is very gaudy. Lots of purple, which is not the caster colors. The caster colors are navy blue and white, but it was the king's favorite color. So everything is colored purple, and embellished with golds, fine jewelry. There are vendors inside of the compound, which never really happens, serving fine liquors, fine wines, the freshest of food and freshly cut meats. The elite are there, kind of just mingling. It is unlike anything you have ever seen as your time as a caster. It is wild.
And what would I know about this upcoming event?
You would know that it is meant to only paint the king in a good light. He is the hero of Azura. That is the tagline that everybody has been repeating all through the compound for weeks. That the only thing that they need to accomplish is to make sure that people have a good time here, and that the citizens of the continent know that their leader died a hero, that he was fighting for them to the bitter end.
I guess which is sort of true. So that's fair. Yeah, Crowbar and I will exchange pleasantries, I'm sure. I'm extremely sorry about this, but we do have you set up in our old stomping grounds, unfortunately. Back in the caster dorms. Or back in the tithe dorms.
So
it is in
he'll
better
lean-
shape now.
He'll lean down to the ward and say, have you ever been curious to see how the tides live? I don't
No.
think he's very worried about the dorms themselves.
Yes. So I'm sure you can find your way around then. Food is in the same place that we were fed before. I'll wait down here for the others to arrive.
I'll
Right.
make my way over there.
Crowbar, you head to the old tithing chambers, and you walk in and you see none other than our favorite NPC of all time, Sea Elf himself, Arvantis. I'm gonna take.
He's literally just gonna. He's just gonna look at him and like, huh? And just not even acknowledge him.
That's fair. I feel like Arvantis would do the same thing to you.
Yeah, that's how I would do it.
I'm gonna take a quick halftime break
Mhm.
and go check on Archer. If you guys want to grab a drink,
Sure.
stretch a little bit, and then we'll come back, and everybody else is gonna arrive at this event. Be back in like 7-10 minutes.
Perfect.
Loving it, Barlos. Good shit.
Good. I'm glad. I know that it's kind of longer stretches that each of you aren't talking, but it's a slow
Yeah.
burn. And then once you all get together, I hope that it'll be worth it.
I honestly think it's still going pretty quick.
That's good. I'm trying to like chop it up into reasonable sections
Yeah.
and like
That way you're not-
involve more than one of you in each scene. So it's not like last week where all of you were truly like backstorying alone.
Yeah. That's why it was like we ran into Brad's character and I was just like, hey, you want to do the thing? I feel like this is a plot hook.
I I I was happy that happened. Like I obviously I had the scrolls going out, so I had it built in. But the fact that it happened organically, even better.
It was like,
Love
hey,
that.
we just asked this random stranger if they wanted to go on a journey with us. We ran into another random stranger, and there's safety
Luckily-
in numbers.
I figured right from the jump I needed to make Zethlo a really forward guy that just like asks ridiculous questions
Yeah.
right out of the gate. So he is a plot motivator. He gets to places and he makes things happen.
Yep. He's like that one of those necessary NPCs that's like, all right, let's drive it home, boys.
Are you sure you didn't want to go to the capital?
Yeah, yeah.
Isn't that where you said you would be?
I heard it's nice this time of year.
We should all journey together for
Yeah.
safety.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I even have the maps for the tithing chambers anymore. I got rid of
just
them
threw
after the last time. I was like, I'll never need these again.
Just threw them in there for familiarity.
That was good. I was just gonna have you like in a waiting room, but that's even better.
I was just gonna have you in a cell, but
Ready to be
What?
executed.
The walls are closing in and the ceiling is descending. What's going on?
there's this weird monster in here and all this trash.
Shut it down.
Oh God! I've just watched A New Hope 30 times to make this campaign.
I would
Instead of
love that.
R2D2, it's Big Dumb Teth. Trying to fucking get the thing to stop.
That's what we should do. We should launch
you're-
this thousands of years into the future and just play D&D in space.
In Star Wars.
Spelljammer, yeah.
You're
Spelljammer
C3PO.
style.
Actually, you're a protocol droid.
Only Warforged and humans. That's it. All other races have died out.
Crackle is Lando Calrissian.
Yeah,
Crew of
yeah.
Calrissian.
The only one I can think of is Crowbar would be Chewie.
Yep.
Yes.
So Elias would be like an Ewok or something.
Yeah.
Let's say he'd be
Just
Yoda.
right. Yeah.
Well, does that make Urzak Jar Jar?
I
Urzak-
guess.
wait, I just had this conversation with Andrew. Like Urzak's the smartest person in the party.
But by like a stretch. I think
I'm pretty
the
sure.
next
Yeah.
Vern has a 16 intelligence, so he's close.
Okay.
But
No,
he's
we're tied actually.
he is as smart as Urzak. Definitely not Crowbar. It's a -1, 0 for Teth, 13 for Brackle. So he's at least. Eric has a 14, so he's close.
Urzak's still a book nerd. Still, he has canonically he has these really really tiny glasses.
Uh,
That's what his face.
Tiny little disc right here. Tiny
of the
little-
tithes, not that you would know based on the gameplay, but Ash was actually the smartest by a long shot.
Yeah.
She had a 19 intelligence. Rest in peace, Ash.
I was gonna say, didn't do him any good, right?
No, nope.
What is Annie doing nowadays?
Teaching.
Doing
That's why
Annie?
she had to stop. She got a job as a full blown teacher, and she needed to prep for that.
Was that
Still
the
teaching at
tide-
the same place. But
Was that the
What's that?
tide that canonically died?
no, that character she is still technically alive, but
Oh, it was a fair
MIA.
character.
It's
Okay.
MIA. Yeah, so there are 3 tithes that are missing in action: Adira, Ash, and Shaw.
Okay.
And then, which you don't really need to know that much about, at least for now. And then 1 tithe that died. Her name was Oak. She was a tabaxi. The party decided, I think, to save her, and they, I don't know. You guys can inform better than I can. I think the party consensus was to try and save Oak instead of Arvantis, the sea elf, and they accidentally saved him, and she was obliterated. She was lasered to death
Oh yeah.
in front of their eyes.
Is that why everybody hates Arvantis?
Nope.
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 He did that all on his own.
Nope. Hate them
Far before
that.
that happened.
Yeah.
We just hate him.
I just started trying to pick a fight with everybody. It was like the first session.
It was the first action he took, was to try and push Crowbar, I think, right?
It was
It sounds like
Crowbar or Flynn.
Barlos.
Yeah. I think it was Crowbar. He tried to push, or Urzak. No, it was Urzak. He tried to push Urzak.
Yeah, he's still
And,
alive. He did not try to push Crowbar.
And Flynn, then referred to as Steven, or the pacifist, lifted him up and, like, dummy dropped him on the floor and knocked him out.
Nice.
Fucking suplex him.
Yeah. Right over the back, over his head.
That's definitely the pacifist special move is a suplex, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
His deal, at least that at that point, was to neutralize the largest threat. So he would choose violence only as a last resort and only if it meant that it would save other people from being harmed. And he thought that Arvantis was too much of a disturbance to justify having around.
Yeah.
Brad, are you there? I know sometimes your video doesn't kick in, so I don't want to restart until you're here. Are you taking a shower?
Taking a poop?
That's the other option. Are you taking a 10-minute poop?
Pooping?
Oh. No. Going for it. Wow, you have some really bad. Oh, these are D20s.
Oh,
Oh
that's
my
the
gosh.
I thought you were rolling D100s.
There you go.
There
and
we
I was
go.
like, Jesus, dude.
one.
It's like that's fucking trash.
You suck.
All right, so we just saw Crowbar, followed by Elias, walk into the old tithing chambers, meeting with Arvantis, not saying anything to him, and the 3 of them sitting in there, probably in uncomfortable silence. Back in the foyer, Brackle, you are still standing, waiting to greet your companions or your old companions, and you're starting to get worried because this is the 5th day, and Crowbar is the only one that has been here. He'll say he's been here for maybe a day, a little less than a day.
Mm-hmm. This is not going well.
And from within the compound, actually, walking down from behind you, this is not the entrance you expected them to come in, but because he was accompanied by 2 or 3 other people that you don't recognize, you see Eric walking down the staircase to greet you.
Oh, is this that big staircase that we all know?
Yes.
Eric, how are you? I see
Fantastic.
you
I
made your way here.
made my way to the capital once again.
I didn't know if I'd ever see you here.
I thought my first time would be my last time.
I'm sure most of us did. That's kind of how the tithes usually go.
Well,
But I guess it wasn't a regular tithe this year, or last year, I would say.
we'll have these 2 months, 1.5 months. You know how these weeks been treating you. You look good. Your
Well,
hair's
thank you.
growing nicely.
That's what magic will do for you.
So many hair comments.
He just like moves his hand through his hair.
Mr. Scout, I have a gift for you. Upon the battlefield last time I searched and located this magical longbow.
Where'd you find this?
The battlefield when the king blew everything to smithereens.
Oh, bye, Billy. Billy.
Does
Yeah, that would have been on one of Visik's troops.
Okay.
I was gonna say does the bard want a potion of invisibility? Ed, your choice.
Let me check something really quick.
So yeah, potion of invisibility or longbow +1.
Let me check and see if my race is allergic to potions of invisibility real quick. Then I'll tell you.
It
Let me
actually,
just
if
check
he's
my
allergic
stats.
to it,
I
so he's
wanted to
invisible
see if I
to
had like
vomiting.
invisibility or something. If I could just make myself go invisible. No. I appreciate these gifts, but hold on to them. You never know when you'll need to be invisible, I suppose. It's always handy. This bow though, I could take a look at it. Maybe there's something to glean from it, something to learn about Robert.
Oh, we're in the business of learning about this, tyrant and okay. You can have it.
I'll message you, and so just in your head you'll hear. Yes, on the down low, I've been attempting to learn as much about Shaw and Robert as possible, as has Urzak. So only you'll hear that.
Out loud, I'll just say copy.
Sure, copy, I suppose. He'll grab the bow.
14 intelligence.
Well, I'm glad you made it. Who are your traveling companions here? I didn't know you were going to be bringing anyone, but I'm sure we can accommodate.
They
this
were
gentleman-
actually not in with him.
Oh, they're not with you? Okay.
No, Eric
Okay.
came down to see you himself.
Okay.
Are their
yes,
names Roger and Victor?
Unfortunately, we have you accommodated in the old tithes bedrooms. They're not as bland as last time, so there's creature comforts, and obviously we're allowed to leave. But Crowbar is up there waiting for you, and unfortunately, your fellow sea elf as well.
So I am, yes, okay, sharing those dorms with our favorite comrade.
It'll be a bit of a reunion up there, yes.
I could have expected as much.
Also,
were
Urzak
saying
may
this-
have a son.
go
I'm
ahead.
not sure. I was
Yeah.
unclear about that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Crowbar may have a son. I'm not sure.
Oh, shit.
I knew that one night was a mistake. Oh god.
Maybe around drinks we'll be able to find out
Yeah.
who he is.
As you were saying that,
Well-
as you were reacting to the Crowbar has a son comment, Brackle, you will see a very peculiar looking small little man, kind of like skipping a step, like jaunting down the steps. He's just excited to be here. He makes it down to the bottom of the steps, and he just kind of just soothes his body for a second. He is excited, and he ran down the steps, and his old bones are just not having it. But after a quick little pat down, kind of briskly walks up to you and extends a hand upward. And he says, I am Zethlo Durand. Nice to meet you. I assume you are Bracklebath.
That's correct. I am Scout Elite Bracklebath.
Scout Elite. Wow. How long did it
And-
take you to get that title?
Remember how old I am?
Days, months, years, probably. Years?
Years it has
Several years?
been.
It
It took
has
me
been.
about
Wow.
6 years.
6 years. Wow.
And what can I do for you, sir? Oh,
I'm
shake his
here.
hand, of course, but
I'm here. I perchance happened to become traveling comrades with Eric here. I had no idea he was a tithe. I didn't follow these last rounds. I
there are
couldn't be bothered. You know?
well, you really missed out on a good one. There are probably 10 more tithes usually walking around than there are after a tithe ceremony.
That is interesting. Wow.
Yes. I'm sure you'll find out a little bit more about it from the funeral procession. However, I guess I'll just look at his invitation. I'm guessing he tells me where he's staying. Is he staying also in the
Yeah,
tithes headquarters? Okay.
he would have had a house set up for him.
Okay.
He was considered a personal friend to the king.
Okay. Well, I'm sure you know your way around here.
His invitation is worded much differently than the tithes invitations.
Okay.
It's very welcoming and warm.
Well, I'm very sorry for your loss. We all miss the king, of course.
And he will message directly to you and say, "Do we really?"
Even in my mind, I'm not at liberty to say.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, I was just coming down here to let my other friend in. He'd too big for the corridor up there, so I had to come down here and open these gates.
Of course. Do you need a hand?
I would love it. I would love it. I'm much smaller than these doors, so
Yep,
please. So he'll kind of lead you. You live here, but he will lead you over to the doors, and you can pull one side, and he will attempt to pull the other side, and you end up pulling open the other side as well.
I'll mage hand help him on the other side.
Perfect, even better. And on the other side of the door, you see for the first time Vern and Teth. Now, one of the things Teth is not as much of a surprise to Vern when you met him in New Pontig. Vern, you knew that robotics, or at least the arcane projection on metal and different matter could exist. You've been tinkering your entire life. You've seen mechanical arms, mechanical bodies function, not necessarily as sentient as Teth, but you knew that the tech was out there. Brackle, you've never seen anything like this before. Teth has a hood on, but you are assuming that a humanoid creature they didn't come this big. So a being this large is a huge shock to you.
I guess can I make I guess you don't want to check. So I wouldn't be able to tell that he is a machine. Just I know that he's large.
How are you
Essentially-
dressed, Teth?
So yeah, so basically the picture that I put in Discord, but just imagine a giant cape hood over that. So you would see probably the face, I guess, and probably the hands, I guess, would be protruding outside.
Okay.
Yeah, you wouldn't. So you wouldn't need a perception check to tell that he's either wearing a big metal mask and big greaves,
Okay.
or
Mm.
or something is not human about him.
It's a
Gotcha.
power suit. It's a power suit.
I think
Hulkbuster. Yeah.
I think immediately Braco would kind of go for his sword and like hold the shatter spell. And kind of look over to Zithlo, and both of these are with you.
Zithlo will notice right away what you're doing.
Mhm.
He'll sense it even before you try and move,
Mhm.
and he'll run up to you and say, "Oh no, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. They're with me, both of them."
My mistake. Can't be too careful at events like these, My
Of course.
apologies. I'll look towards Teth. My apologies.
None taken.
It's not every day. Well, I shouldn't say. How tall are you?
As big as I could make him on the scale, which is close to 7 foot.
Okay. I would say it's not usually every day I see a creature as large as you. But I have gotten a lot of friends recently who match your scale. Welcome. I'm guessing that they'd be staying with
They would
Zithlo.
be staying with Zithlo. Yeah.
I'm a Scout Elite Braco Beth. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Vern Wellerby. I don't have quite as impressive a height, but
I do have a metal hand, so.
if you take a look at this, huh?
Hey, apparently, you guys like to group together. Keep your parts oiled, correct?
Yeah, that's what we say in our community.
It sounds terribly
You can say it, you
racist
can't
when
say
I
it,
say
but
it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We'll just move past that. Uh, well, welcome, and you are.
Tet. Pleasure's mine.
Of course. Well, I look forward to talking with you more on these coming events. You, of course, are welcome. Zithlo obviously knows his way around here. But yes, and please enjoy yourselves. I'm sure you know your way to the house and where you live. And the ceremonies will begin, I'm guessing, tomorrow, if everybody's supposed to be here today.
Yes.
Okay.
And walking around, Teth would be coming in. Teth would be to your left.
Mhm.
Vern would be on your right. And walking around the right side of Teth, Urzak is the final one to arrive.
Speaking of my large friends, here's one right here.
Urzak will come in and draw his hood back and look around and let out a sigh. And go up and give Brackle a nod of acknowledgement. And you'll immediately see Teth. And it's just like, holy shit.
That's
Just
what
like
I said.
Brackle, this is beyond your wildest imagination. You had no idea that you would ever see a sentient being like this.
I'd message you, Urzak, and be like, "Do you know what the fuck that is?"
Urzak, he will not respond, but he will approach and kind of give like a half bow, curtsy, and extend a hand to shake Teth's hand and say, Urzak, the Eternal Blade. And you are...
Tet. Pleasure to meet you. Reach out a hand. Give a nice little shake.
So, like, as big as Urzak is, he'll have to, like, use both of his hands to, like, encompass your one hand and shake it.
I would imagine
Urzak's like...
he's
He's
pretty
like
big,
7
right?
feet tall,
Yeah.
which is huge, but still smaller, and he'll kind of come in close and say, "I don't suppose you're built for sparring, are you?"
Yes, kind of.
As long
That's
as
good. That's about as good of an answer as you could give.
as long
Yeah.
as that doesn't mean
Uh.
killing. Well, either way.
The best thing about being a Warforged is there's not a lot of facial expression.
Yeah.
Just like, sure. I mean, I'm definitely not like a maid. I am a
Well,
bodyguard.
if we make it through this night alive, uh, oh, we'll have to test that functionality.
Are you anticipating not making the night alive?
I anticipate. I anticipate it being an interesting night.
I kind of
Teth-
wedge in, interrupt. Always so grim, Urzak.
Teth and Vern, why don't you make history checks for me?
Yeah. Where's that sweet D20?
Roll that baby boy.
I have a 25.
Ooh, mama.
18 plus 7. So
Well, measly 16 over here.
Teth, you would recognize everyone here. You don't know why. Vern, you
Oh.
know immediately on sight who all of these people are, and that they were tithes. You know the extended history of the tithes. You know that they are traditionally very deadly, and you are surprised to see all of these creatures still living. I mean, and you are only seeing 3 of them right now, but
Mhm.
you also heard mention of 2 other ones in the other room. So the fact that 5 are still standing is astounding to you.
this is really something. I'm sorry, guys. I'm fangirling a little bit, just being in the presence of all of you. I mean, I'm just a humble, incredibly wealthy inventor of sorts. So being in your presence is just. I'm really excited. Whatever this night brings, I say, bring on the adventure and excitement. Am I right? I give a little nudge to Teth's like knee or whatever I'd be.
Urzak will then continue pleasantries and go up and extend a hand to Vern. I don't believe we met. I'm Urzak.
Vern, I'm a big fan. Really, really a pleasure to meet you. Also, I think we have a little something in common. You know.
Does
Dragon.
Yeah, does Vern look like he has dragon ancestry at all?
Yeah,
I hold up
he
my
have
little
scales?
staff. My little staff has a little dragon like thing on it. I'm like, Inside me?
It's very distant. So he didn't directly descend from a dragon.
Right.
It was more like somebody in his distant lineage was blessed with draconic power.
Oh, okay.
So
Sometimes they. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say sometimes dragon blood sorcerers have like scales on their face. I was curious if Vern had anything like that, or, like claws even.
You can give all that flavor, Trent.
I had scales when I was born, but only on this arm. And as you can see, it's my mechanical arm now, so I don't have them anymore. But
Urzak will have like a he's used to, at least especially in his community, he's very well known and used to people being his fan. And he'll walk up and say, "Oh, good. Do you want to see a cool trick?"
yes,
And he takes you to the grove where Crowbar grew a workbench out of a tree.
Urzak will he will remove the shield from his back and kind of set it aside from him, and he's going to sprout wings from his back. His silver wings sprout from his back briefly.
Ooh. Oh, that's
You know, you remind
absolutely
me.
majestic. Vern wipes just a little tear from one of his eyes, just looking at this image of beauty.
He kind of like almost like winces in pain a little bit, and then retracts the wings. He says, it is a work in progress, but I suppose a fan like yourself would know. Someday, I hope to be full blood dragon."
Yes, yes, of course. So I'm confident that a celebrated tide like yourself can certainly reach that goal.
Well, like I said, if we make it through today.
Ooh. I'm excited because I haven't really seen much adventure, so this is like
Brackle just like shakes his head
a
like
little giddy.
Smash cut this 6 hours later and you're screaming.
Oh God, no!
It's
Take
just
me
like
back
that-
to my mansion.
that's Urzak's like every day. He's just like, I hope we make it through the day. Just wakes up like that. Today's the day, and I know it.
Just one more day.
So to your well, depending on, you're kind of looking at each other. So off to the side, you would see coming out of a door a very small child, pulling behind him by the hand a reluctant Crowbar. He's looking behind him. He's like, Crowbar, they're here. I know Brackle said that he didn't think they were coming, but everybody came.
Urzak will make full stride towards Crowbar and extend a warm welcome hand.
I'll reluctantly shake his hand, but he'll just say, yes, I am here. I understood that I had no choice. And that's it.
He'll take your hand, and then he'll pull you in for the one-armed pat in the back hug.
All right.
And
I will awkwardly reciprocate.
he'll kind of lean into your ear and say, I'm glad you're here to have my back today, friend.
I feel uneasy about this whole thing as well.
Vern
Alright.
steps into the group and goes, "Ooh, me too, guys."
Brackle steps in. What are we talking about?
Crowbar
What you
will
guys
like
doing over here?
growl a little bit at you. He doesn't
Me or Vern?
appreciate the energy.
I squeal a
Vern.
little bit with delight.
I suppose I'll go over it. Vern, this is one of our fellow tithes, Crowbar.
Pleasure, and
I'll
I
just
just
nod.
I won't go for a handshake or anything. I'll just give like a little tip of my top hat and kind of be like, show a little reverence and all that.
I will do
Vern was
nothing.
Vern was traveling with Eric as well as his friend. Zflo,
Equal.
Zithlo.
and Teth here. Who I'll motion towards the third giant person in this room.
Raise a hand.
Now you three can swap shirts.
He'll lean back into Crowbar and be like, tell me that isn't the best sparring partner you've ever seen. Point towards Teth.
Agreed.
Made of metal.
And as you are all exchanging pleasantries, from the top of the stairs, two other figures appear, both of whom you recognize. One you know as Arvantis, and one you know now as Flynn, who you have not seen since the night that the sky opened up.
Brackle, I think, would say kind of in a lower voice, these fucking guys.
Arvantis will open the dialogue as he is known to do, and he will target Urzak first because he's the biggest of the people that he knows. He
I like that
will.
you said target.
And he will be all smiles, as if you guys are the best of friends. He's walking down the stairs. Urzak, my guy, how have you been? What a crazy month and a half. I gotta tell you, I went home. I was the biggest hero. You have no idea. It was so awesome. How has it been for you? Oh, you're looking great. You look the same, but still great. You looked great before.
I'll extend a hand to shake, and I'll say, I'm honestly surprised you're still alive.
He'll he'll lean into your ear, and he'll be like, "Low key, I am too. How did that even happen?"
Not hard to stay alive when you're sleeping in the infirmary.
I will pretend that I did not hear that.
Only for your edification.
And approaching from behind him, Flynn will approach as well. And he will solemnly extend a hand to Urzak. And he will say, I hope we can connect about that night. It's good to see you here. I don't know what will happen today.
Sock will nod, shake his hand, and say, is it Steven, or we decide to stay with Flynn?
I've decided to stay with whatever gets me the least amount of attention.
Steven. Great.
Sure. And he'll give you a little half smile, and then kind of return back to his solemn look. Not necessarily sad, but definitely melancholy, because he spent the most time with Shaw, and she was the one that gave him that name. So he's been thinking about her pretty much the entire time since that day.
I think since Flynn's been kind of in the compound, I think I'd message the previous, so Crowbar, Eric, and Urzak, in rapid fire succession, and just say, I haven't been able to find out much of what happened with him since you've been gone. He's still a mystery to me.
I'll turn around and kind of look around the room and say, I suppose we're still a couple people short, aren't we?
Brackley, you would know that scouts were sent out to to try and find Ash. There's no location listed as her home. So there are people still out looking for her. And an entire caravan of people went out to Three Spears to look for Adira, and she was not there as well. So both of them are still out there somewhere. They have not been able to be found yet.
I'd relay that to the group. We're still looking for them.
Fire.
Hopefully. I don't know if they are alive or not, but I have no word of them yet.
Well, I guess casters don't always get what they want.
No, they did not.
Are you still messaging, or are you speaking out loud?
That was out loud.
Zethlo will butt in at that point, and he'll say, "Actually, very rarely do they get what they want. They're just very good at telling the story of them getting what they want. more often than not. I have seen it firsthand.
As with most great societies. Hello?
Stephen will speak up. He'll kind of look at Brackle. He'll say, "I know I have no station here, but just for sake of keeping on schedule," and he'll say that very pointedly. Just keeping on schedule. I think we should turn in. We don't want to be seen by anyone standing around in the foyer.
That's a great idea. I think we should have a little reunion meal and drink. Let's go. So I'll just motion back to where we all know the food was when we first got here. Let's go grab our favorite meals and head up to our accommodations.
That's an interesting one question. Is the food? Is it still our favorite food?
Yes, it is. So when you go in, you would notice that there is something laid out for each of you specifically that is a selection of your favorite foods of all time. They really had to go out of their way to find yours, Vern. Assuming that you are used to a much wider palette of rarer foods, more high-end cuisine.
I am, but I want to, if it is really exotic, I want to still look a little disappointed because it's like the wealthy food I'm so used to eating. Like, I'd rather go, I think that the grease pit should be a franchise all across Azura. So I'll find a grease pit here in the capital.
You want like a commoner's food of the region kind of stuff?
Yes.
I want to experience what regular people do.
That's it.
Oh, that's so funny. Just like spending your entire life wishing that you, not wanting to lose your money, but wishing that you were just a poor person.
Right, yeah. Like, I like the security it brings me and all that, but I want to, like, feel like these are my people,
He's got like
Even though I'm, like, really,
caviar.
really well dressed and everything. It's one of, like...
I want to walk amongst the plebeians.
I start to think with my character, not to make him, like, really flamboyant, but have you seen Our Flag Means Death?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the lead character there? Like him.
Not
No,
Blackbeard,
not
but the
Blackbeard,
other
but
guy.
the main guy. But he's all like dressed in like fancy clothes, and he's like,
I can't
I'm a
remember.
pirate too, and he's like hanging out with the pirates, but clearly he like has no experience and is not tough and doesn't belong there.
Yeah.
That's kind of the energy that I'm starting
love
to
that.
see. Like, yeah.
I love that.
I'll still be grateful because I'm not rude. Obviously, I grew up with manners, so I'll be like, oh, thank you for this nice fancy like
Is it the
snails.
guy in the teal jacket?
It's the I think so. It's the lead.
Okay.
It's the main
I think
character.
that's who it
His name is
Okay.
his
I
name.
can't remember what his name is.
My wife would know. She loves the show. But
It has to. Yeah, it's got to be that guy. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you have your pick of as much of whatever you want to eat as you can stomach or want to eat, and then you all turn in. So the previous tithes walk back across the hall to the old tithing chamber. Eerily absent Shaw, Adira, Ash, and Oak. Ironically, all of the female characters. Yikes. Thanks, Annie and Michael, for making that a reality.
Quite a sausage party we have here.
Plus one little boy, so even better.
Oh no.
Gonna be stinky.
Yeah, so you all journey back in there. You're also less Bracklebaff. He has his own quarters now, since he has been promoted a little bit up in the caster ranks when Daunt took over as the interim leader of the regime. Bracklebaff kind of moved up. he slotted up one position. Not a general. He didn't win the tithes, so he doesn't earn that. But he is of a higher station now, so he can't be seen sleeping with the former tithes. And then Zethlo and Teth and Vern, you guys have a house of your own that has been furnished very nicely. They assumed, Teth, that you would be coming with him, so they made a special door that you could enter a different part of the house, so you didn't have to bend through a small human-sized doorway that was built for Zithlo. So you all turn in for the night, and it is almost jarringly uneventful. Nothing happens. I'm sure most of you are awake for a good portion of the night. You can expound upon that if you want. But you reach the next morning and you are all still alive. Nothing has happened, and you wake up almost in disbelief. And very very early the next morning, you get a wake up call, the former tithes, from a familiar voice. And it is the same voice that woke you up originally when you were first brought to the compound. And you will, let's see if she is still shown to all of you. I'll make sure. So you are greeted with a bright old smile by Marawil, the common worker who was charged with keeping you all comfortable as possible last time. She'll walk in and she'll say, "Well, aren't these a bunch of bright faces that I didn't expect to see ever again?" You're all still asleep, apparently.
I'm not here, right? These are just
Okay.
the former tides.
That's just the former times. Yeah, I'll come back later.
Is she? I don't know how serious her injuries were, but is she like have like scarring or like a prosthetic arm from?
So you can. She still has all of her limbs. They seem to be all hers, but there are pretty severe burn marks on the right side of her body. So her right arm. Well, you can't. She has a long sleeve on, but her right hand is badly scarred from burns. The right side of her neck and kind of up, halfway up her face. So not a complete burned face, but definitely scarring there. She took the most damage. She wasn't the closest to the scepter, but she was the least defended. She had no armor. She has no stats. She's a level 0 commoner, so she got rocked.
We'll roll out of bed and approach her, offer a friendly handshake, and say, I'm glad that you made it through that night alive. Many of us sat at your bedside and weren't sure what to think, but glad you're okay."
And she'll kind of reach up and pat you on the cheek, like grandma pat you on the cheek, and she'll say, "Oh, sometimes I think it was all the kind words that all of you said to me that got me through it. I appreciate you."
So, what's the itinerary?
She kind of her face, the brightness and the smile dims a little bit, and she said, "If I'm honest, you're not gonna like it."
Didn't anticipate on liking it.
She'll say it's back to the the battle arena for all of you? Not on the inside, but just the sides.
I don't suppose there's any more information you'd like to divulge.
Oh, they don't tell me very much of the inside stuff. But I know that you'll have all of the generals there with you, so they can't blow it up or anything. Well, I suppose they could, but I don't think they would do that. Cerberus will be up there. Daunt will be up there as well. I think he'll be within proximity to important enough people to be safe.
Great. Well, lead the way, I suppose.
As you all wake up, and does anybody else want to greet Marowell? I guess it's just either Brad or Andrew at this point.
I'm sure I would join
I guess yeah,
them
you
in the Tides quarters. Probably come in shortly after Marwell or come in with her.
she will walk out and she's going to lead you across the hall, and this is very reminiscent of your first day as a tithe. She'll lead you across the hall, offer you some breakfast. As you go in, you'll see that Teth and Cithlo and Vern are in there already. They're all early risers, aka Zithlo is an early riser, and he made sure that Teth and Vern were awake as well.
Teth's bed is just like a wireless charging pad.
Yeah.
He just crouches down.
Compatible
It's
with all
bright
the
as
new
it's
models.
bright as fuck though,
Yep.
so nobody gets any sleep because it's like a super bright light.
right, right.
Your eyes just
I-
nervously glow like a daylight spell.
I'm just now realizing that I forgot to make tokens for you two, Vern and Teth. Oops.
Fine.
Make him the king.
Oh, I guess you
Robert.
guys wouldn't be up with the rest of them anyway. Yeah. So she leads you down the same hallway, across the same bridge that you would know from months ago, and you walk out onto the deck of the battle arena.
A deck? I
Shoot.
thought we were in the stands. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Isn't
You
the
line
deck
up.
that famously collapses and kills people.
Yeah, I'm gonna-
kills 3 new tithes. Yeah.
I'm gonna give resistance to as many people as I can.
You would notice Daunt is already out there, furthest out on the ledge, next to the king's casket. So I mean, you can insight it if you'd like, but above game, nothing will happen with the deck. I promise you that. So you are all standing out here next to you, to your right. You would recognize all of the territorial generals. None of you have met all of them, but you all would have some familiarity with at least one, because they patrol different regions of the continent to kind of make sure that things stay safe. There is a smattering of ideals here, some ranging from completely devout to the casters to 100% against everything that they stand for. These are all past winners of the tithes. When you win the tithes, you become a general by pedigree. So they just become a general, and they're shipped out to a portion of the country to just kind of keep the peace however they see fit. Urzak, you would be very familiar with the general that's right next to you. You have never actually spoken to her, but you know her by name. Her name is Hargrave. Her name is Lily Hargrave. And you know that she patrols the desert. Next to her is a Luxodon named Pasparan. Vern, you would be very familiar with her. She resides in your hometown of Charvassus. You don't have to memorize these right now. Depending on where these above game again, these are going to be 6 different quest lines that you can choose from later on. Not today, but whichever path you end up choosing, that person, I'll just give some background lore to whatever general you'll work with. Next to Pasparan is Valentine. Not Flynn. Who am I talking to? Lore dump here. Eric, you would be familiar with Valentine. He operates out of the Pangor Range. Teth, you would also know of him. You may not have crossed paths, but you know that he exists. Next is... Oh, I'm not revealing their names, am I?
I can Hargrave.
Yeah. Corey.
There we go. We're doing the work that I thought I was doing before. So next to Valentine, there's Corey.
Oh.
She operates in the northwest corner. So Urzak, you may have heard whisperings of her when you were during your time at the Hall of Two Beginnings, but again, you've never crossed paths with her. Next is Alan Brackle. You would know him explicitly. He oversees the Dredge, which is right next to the mining town that you grew up in. So you would have crossed paths with him before. He is very apathetic, very stern, doesn't really like to interact with people. And then the last one is Kavanaugh, notoriously the king's least favorite general of all time. Stuck him somewhere in the middle of the continent without really any direction. He is also the most recent winner of the tithes. So he was the winner of the 48th cycle. So he's the youngest. He doesn't really know what he's doing, and he
First name Brett.
I can't remember if I gave him a first name. I know I did for some of them. I can't remember. I'll have to look it up. It could be Brett though. If he doesn't have a first name, I think I might make that canon. But they all seem equally uncomfortable to be here, almost as uncomfortable as the 6 of you. They do not want to be here, standing behind Daunt for this whole thing. So here you are. These stands are all filled with either friends of king or more wealthy commoners that lived in the inner city, or wealthy people from outer regions, and they're starting to file in. And Cerberus is going to turn around to Urzak, and for the first time, you've known of this person for years. You've known of him. You know what type of general he is. You've known him personally for about 2 months, 2.5 months. Confirmed all of the things that you speculated. He'll turn around to you for the first time in your history. You see him look concerned. He'll turn around to you and he'll say, he'll whisper to you, "We have to get rid of Daunt."
Does Brackle hear that?
Brackle, make a perception check.
Perception. 8 plus 9, 17. 8 plus 9, 17.
Brackle hears that he said something to you. He cannot make out the words.
Urzak is Probably the worst person to whisper anything ever. But he'll whisper back and say, I'm going to need a little more to go off of than that.
And he'll turn back again. Same volume. He'll say, "Not here. Later, in the Tide's quarters."
Just give an understanding nod and turn to Brackle, and he would probably almost assume that Brackle heard him, but he would give a nod of acknowledgement as well. A half shrug.
So
I'd probably just give
go,
him
go ahead.
nod back, yeah, or we can talk about it later.
So as the crowd is filing in, all of these seats are starting to fill up. You can see from your position, you can see Zithlo. You can make them out clearly because Teth is gigantic. You know exactly where they are in the stands. They're somewhere over in this region. All three of them. Vern is as giddy as ever. He never imagined he would be. He was not on the invite list for this. He's just riding the coattails of a person that he met 5 days ago. So he's super excited. Zithlo does not look excited. Teth looks like the same metal face that he has all the time. And they are watching the proceedings from the sidelines. And Dot starts to speak. He uses the same tiny sending stone that the king used before the first battle of the tithes. And through this giant sending stone over here, you can hear his voice projected out to the crowd. And he'll have it up to his mouth. And he'll say, "My friends, and some of you that are that I don't know personally, but I'm sure you're great also, people. Thank you. Thank you for coming to celebrate the life of this amazing man." And he'll put his hand on the casket. I'm gonna roll for him real quick. I'm gonna roll a performance check. That's that's a 4.
It's going great so far.
I'll give him. Won't even matter.
Hilarious.
I was gonna say I'll give him Bardic, but yeah,
No.
it's not even gonna help with 4.
So he is going to attempt to fake crying. So he's going to put his hand on the casket, and he'll say, "He was like a father to me, and I assume to many of you, single-handedly saved the country on multiple occasions through diplomacy and through combat. We gather today to honor one of the country's greats." He'll take his hand off and put it over his heart. Say, "To my king, wherever you are, I salute you." And he will give a literal salute, which in this world doesn't really mean anything. And everybody is confused. There's mixed reactions from the crowd. Like some people in the crowd do that too, just because they think that's what they do in the caster compound. The people that live in the caster city, or the capital city, they're just like, I don't know what you're doing. So he's losing the crowd. Is essentially what is happening. And he'll continue, "As the appointed leader of the casters, I am honored to follow in his footsteps. As we all know, they are very big shoes to fill. His actual feet were mediocre, standard shoe size, but his station shoes The shoes of his station were enormous station shoes that I have to fill, and I know that I will need all of the support from all of you, and I hope that I have it. He will he'll look back at Cerberus, who doesn't give a fuck about him at all. Like
Boo.
I'm choking. I'm just like a look of panic, stage fright that he did not expect to have. And Cerberus just kind of looks away. And he'll kind of gaze across the line of tithes and back at the generals, which he technically by station has command over. And he'll turn back to everybody. And he'll say, I don't really know what our next move will be, but for now, we celebrate the life of our king. And he'll raise a flask up into the air, and he will like air cheers the king and take a shot from his flask.
Here, here.
And like nobody in the crowd has drinks either, so they're just like, okay, cool. So as he is speaking, he kind of starts droning on about things that he's more comfortable talking about, military tactics and things that they are building out in the country in different city centers to make them more safe, things like that. Not bombing as much, but still not comfortable.
Still talking about
it's kinda-
military at a funeral.
Yeah. Objectively not meeting the brief here. Like people are like, make sure the king looks like the biggest hero of our time, and he's talking about infrastructure. So as he is droning on, you see from the other end, all the way down here, at the end where the bridge meets the deck, a man
Meets the-
running. So it's like right down here. If you're,
Okay.
it's zoomed in up at the top, the bottom right of the bottom right corner.
Okay.
You will see a man running across the bridge.
Hmm.
He's running at full speed, yelling. They're coming up. They're coming up. Help me. Help me. They're coming up from the ground. Help me. Everything is over. Everything is over. They're coming up. Help me. Help me. Someone, please help me. So now it only lasts for that long, a couple seconds. Guards just tackle this dude, right? Knock him down. He's yelling,
Help me.
fighting against them, trying to get him up, trying to get him down on the ground. Sorry, and he's yelling. He's starting to be muffled because they put a gag in his mouth, and they take him away. It interrupts the whole thing. Everybody is now looking over at this guy.
Can I look towards Daunt and see what kind of expression he has?
He's laughing. Dante does not believe that this is a real concern. He's never heard of anything come up from the ground, and not on his watch anyway. So he kind of laughs it off. Well, the wine in here is very strong, haha. And that gets like a couple chuckles from the crowd. He's winning them back. This guy helps him a little bit, and he's like, these fancy liqueurs that they bring out for these events. They sometimes can take their toll a little faster than you think. And as he says that, from the very center of the battle arena, a huge I suppose in D&D terms, how big is gargantuan?
Really, really
20
big.
by 20?
20 by 20?
I
No,
think.
that's not.
I think it depends on the creature. I think some of them are long.
It's just like
Some are
the biggest ones. There's medium, large, huge.
Oh, I was thinking huge.
Is gargantuan after huge?
Yes.
I think so. They used to have a colossal. I don't think that exists anymore.
Right, because the colossal was like the mythic proportion beasts, right? Like the ungodly large ones.
Yeah.
So somewhere between huge and gargantuan, because I don't think it's 20 by 20, but we'll say like
Creature of unquestionable size.
creature of unquestionable size.
Gargantuan's 20 by 20, according to Google. I don't know
Perfect.
if anyone looked it up, but I just looked it up.
So it's bigger than that. We'll say most of this center section.
It's very big.
Big boy.
You see at first a hole, like it's almost like the grains of sand at this point, like little patches of grass start to fall in to the earth, and from that little hole a giant hand comes up, huge hand,
Uh-oh.
and on the hand there are scales, there are claws. It's almost gray, like a dark gray color. And the claws are bright silver, shining silver. Comes up and latches onto the ground. Just like it is there, and everybody's yelling. People are running down the stands now, and all of you are just watching all of this happen. And the hand rips down, and just the whole bottom of this, all of this sandy area, this dirt area, just caves down in. It all implodes downwards into the earth. And with it, it starts taking this side. Oh, that's a small circle. Oops. This side of the stands. They start caving in. Vern and Teth, could I have you make a dex saving throw, please?
You get +5 if you're within 10 feet of me.
Oh,
And you are.
sounds good to me. Okay. Dex saving throw.
22.
Why did okay? So little screen didn't pop up though, and okay.
If you want to
So
roll it, if you're
I
using
got it.
digital dice, Trent,
It just didn't pop up though. I clicked the little icon thing. I have actual dice
Okay.
too, but I really like this interface. So
okay. Okay.
I have a 9 with the +5.
Oh,
Oh,
Jesus.
buddy.
So Teth, what did you roll, Teth?
22.
Okay. So you're lucky, Vern. So Teth sees that Vern and Zithlo, who also did not roll well, are, your seats are basically crumbling beneath you. And he grabs both of you as you are falling forward. Teth finds some footing, and you're just gonna go into your lock mode. You're gonna grab Zithlo and Vern and kind of hold them in close, and just lock your body down. And people are running down. People are falling off the back of these risers. These are like bleacher style seating that go far up outside of the pit, and so now the bleachers are kind of crumbling from the back. People are falling. You see people getting trampled around you. It has turned in just a few moments into a very gruesome, bloody scene. What what would you guys like to do?
Urzak is immediately running east towards the stands and trying to help anybody who's in danger.
This is a silver scaled hand. And Urzak is a silver dragon. Born.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought you said dragon corn, like a unicorn and a dragon.
Yep. Actually, Vern and Urzak, what's your passive investigation? Probably pretty high, right?
13.
Both of you. 13 for both of you.
Investigation. What do I see?
You
Oh,
you would
13 for me too.
yeah, you would immediately recognize it as some type of draconic hand. Decidedly so. It is draconic in origin. It's gone. It's now back down into the earth. So you're all. I'll go by character. Brackle, what are you doing?
Well, a hand. I would say I would
Daunt is
probably
screaming, by the way, into the sending stone.
like scared screaming.
Yeah, yeah. Never in his life has he been so wrong to laugh at something and have the opposite thing happen to him.
I would go. So how far am I away? I'd probably go up to Daunt and like grab his collar and say, "Get it together!" Like hit the sending stone away, so so people don't hear
Yeah.
me say that. And then I will probably polymorph into. I forget how the polymorph works. I can't find what the challenge rating is equal to or less than the target's level. So let's see. And it has to be a beast, I believe.
What are you aiming for?
I'd probably turn into a giant ape.
Okay.
And then start moving people away, like trying to get them away from this sinkhole.
Okay. So as you are doing that, and you would all kind of see this, both Corey over here and Alan teleport immediately. Corey will take Valentine with her. Alan will take Kavanaugh with him. They are all gone. Esperanne is a famous artificer. She's known for working on ships and kind of devising new technology for trade routes and things like that. She and Hargrave would be the more good or lawful generals. So they would stay and try and help. So they are offering themselves to you guys, however you want to use them. So you know that you have the two of them. And Cerberus is going to jump down and start climbing. He's going to start climbing down the pit.
Okay. Yeah.
So he's out of, and Arvantis is running.
Running away. Okay.
He's long gone. Eric, what are you doing?
I'm going to use a bonus action to turn into a great tree guardian of nature. It's a 3rd level spell.
Okay.
So I have 10 temporary hit points. My skin will appear all barky and leaves from my hair. Constitution saving throws with advantage, dexterity, wisdom, base attack rolls with advantage. While I'm on the ground within 15 feet of me is difficult terrain. For enemies,
Okay.
I guess.
Enemies. Gotcha.
So that'll last
Okay.
me a minute. Concentration.
Great. And so Urzak, you're over here.
Yep.
Flynn will kind of mirror you. He views you as an equal of sorts, so he's in the business of saving as many lives as he can. We'll say that Crowbar will go with you. He's going to probably look for Elias because he was not able to stand up with you. Eric, you're a tree guardian. Crackle, you're a giant ape.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so as you are over here, are you taking Daunt with you?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably grab Daunt to get him out of the way for sure. And then
Okay.
my whole thought process was probably grab him, make sure he's safe, and then start getting people out of the stands, like the innocents. Like if I know there's shitty people and like aristocrats that are just assholes, I'm not gonna save them first.
That's fair.
I'd go for people like Vern and people who I just met that I'm like, there's no reason for them to.
Do I see that guy
Okay.
that I tried to see if he was okay when I knocked on his house? He was kind of pricked.
Make a perception check.
No. It's like a 5.
You look for him. You cannot see him anywhere here. You would assume that he probably was here somewhere, but you do not see him anywhere.
Right.
All right. At this point, I would like all of you to make a. I'll let you pick charisma or wisdom saving throw.
Oh,
Both
that's an
equally
easy
as bad.
choice.
I don't know if anybody's close to me besides Zethlo and Vern. Wait, I don't have a token.
Is it against a magical spell or a magical effect?
Yes.
Okay.
Is this made to maintain my concentration on a spell while taking damage?
No.
Is this against being charmed?
No.
All right. Anything to do with plants?
No.
All right.
Wait, am I doing a saving throw too, or am I still like in the metal embrace of?
Yep. I'm
death?
gonna have all of you roll. Yeah.
Okay.
Either
I have,
charisma or wisdom.
But you're in that
Charisma.
sweet paladin baby Bjorn.
Char 18. Oh, gotcha. I thought you were doing like a cha-ching thing.
Roll for crowbar.
Char.
Give him wisdom.
Cha-ching!
Not bad. Crowbar.
Cha cha cha.
All right. With all of those rolls. Okay, you are at 28. Yeah, so with those rolls, Eric,
Hmm.
Crowbar, and Urzak, the ground underneath you, the boarding underneath you, is going to start breaking. And for whatever reason, it doesn't feel like you can physically get away from it. You are now going to start sliding down into the woodwork, the foundation of these walls. So you're descending very quickly. The highest one we had 28? Brackle. Did you roll as Brackle or did you roll as a giant ape?
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
I bet they're super charismatic.
You said charisma or wisdom, right?
Charisma or wisdom.
Well,
Yeah.
it's gonna be wisdom. All right. So the first roll that I did was a flat 18, and it's a +1, so it's 19.
Okay.
Total.
So the top one then would be Teth.
Good call. I totally forgot about that.
So Teth, as things are happening, people are falling off risers everywhere, all around you. You're still armor locking Zithlo and Vern for safety. Now you start seeing some of the adventurers that you just met start to fall through as well. That Eric knows, Eric included. And from the sky, off in the distance, you see a figure approaching very quickly. And they are going to swoop down. Daunt is with Brackle.
Mhm.
These guys are over here helping.
Holding
Should
them
roll.
in my
Also
arm.
roll for them. And three cloaked figures, fly in. One of them has wings. They're going to fly in, land right here, push open the casket, take something from within the casket, and fly away.
So disrespectful.
And as you see them fly away, you'll see one of them turn around. Make a perception check, Teth, since you were the least affected by this.
18.
With an 18, you would see a male face, deep tan, with a some type of mark on his face, either it's a tattoo or a scar of some kind. See him look back, mouth something, and everything goes back to normal. There is no hole in the ground. There are no broken pieces of wood. There are no broken pieces of metal. The risers are all intact. The panic was real. The trampled people were real. The guards that were holding the man before there's nothing in their manacles. They're not holding a man. But the coffin is open. And you can all start to realize as you are getting up from your various positions from where you were, this was a grand illusion. You can feel now the effects of the magic leaving your body. It was a huge surge of illusory magic, probably more than any of you have experienced going through your bodies, maybe ever. But there are bodies everywhere. There's blood all over the stairs. People have fallen off the back of the bleachers. There are people that have fallen into the pit. Cerberus is down there. He's prone, pushing himself up, thinking that he was climbing down a vertical wall. Our Vantis is over here like, what the fuck is going on?
Just shake my head at Arvantis.
Daunt runs back over to the casket.
Mm-hmm.
And as we know, Urzak took the scepter.
Mm-hmm.
So Urzak still is in possession of the burnt scepter. But Daunt, visibly shaken and now very alarmed, has his hands on both sides of the casket, and he's looking all over, like feeling all over inside of the casket, like lifting the king's body up, like looking underneath him. And he calls over, or I'd say he calls down to Cerberus. That's the only person in view that he would be able to see that would know what was going on. And he calls down to him and he says, "It's gone, Cerberus." And Cerberus will just turn and start walking away. Infuriated, will start walking away.
Jesus. Well, I guess I'll drop my concentration as an ape.
Guess I don't need this anymore.
Yeah, I think I'd message Daunt and say what was in there.
He will brush past you and just say, "Not now," and he will start walking back up this way. And you've seen him be very hot-headed. You've seen him be very angry. This is a very cold, determined, not now. Like, get the fuck out of my face, or I will hook you to death. If you don't leave my direct path, I'm going to bowl you over. So he's leaving. Pasparan will follow him in suit. So they're kind of down here. So everybody's kind of reeling from this. Brackle, I would say with your, let's see, what's your passive percent? 12.
Passive perception is it's 19.
With your passive perception, you would be able to notice down at the very base of the casket was a blue feather.
Okay.
What, there was a blue feather, or there is a blue feather?
There is, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, I'll take it.
There currently is a blue feather.
Agree.
Bye, Brad.
Yeah, I will take that. How big is it?
About as long as your hand.
Okay.
Maybe 6 inches long.
Regular old feather size.
Yep.
Interesting.
Urzok's going to turn to Hargrave and first say, thank you for your help back there. I don't think we've ever officially met, but I believe we know of each other.
And she'll say, no worries at all. Your reputation precedes you. Happy to help. The Eternal Blade.
Give a polite bow and say, what the hell happened? Have you ever seen anything like that?
I try and make it a point to never be here, so I don't know what typically happens here.
Well, I'll tell you from experience, that's not far off from the normal.
Wonderful.
But you were also a tithe, so
I know how it goes. Just because I was here 20 years ago and you were here 2 months ago, not much has changed.
you have any idea what was taken, or
They don't tell the regional generals much, but if I had to guess, it was probably some type of power source that mimicked whatever was in that scepter.
so how good are you with magical sources?
But I've seen enough bullshit to make a good guess, I suppose.
Come find us later. We'll be down at the tithe's quarters.
She'll lower her voice and she'll say, "You're actually not the first person to invite me to the tithes quarters tonight. What are you guys planning?"
Was it Cerberus who spoke to you earlier?
It sure was. That prick.
He said something similar to me as well. Well, get there before he does. I have something I want to show you.
Sounds good to me.
It's an anvil that has grown out of the ground. Out
Fair warning.
of
I'm gonna warn you. It's my penis.
Yeah, Cerberus just wants to show everybody his dick. That's all. That's all he wants.
Y'all ever seen anything like this before?
I can't believe the size of it.
It's got
It's
horns,
so-
just like my
it's-
helmet.
Why is it purple?
I'd like
The
to-
king's favorite color.
Would
I'd like to
would-
go over to Teth.
Go ahead.
Incredibly fast reactions. That was impressive.
Thank you. And then we'll put down Vern and Cecilo.
Mhm.
I'm glad you all made it out okay of apparently a group hallucination.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
my first one of those.
Zithla will look up at you, Vern, and will be like, "So how was it, kid? Everything that you ever desired?"
It was it was it was a lot. It was a lot. You know, I have to admit it was a little thrilling, little exciting. You know, this is what I've always wanted, but maybe I didn't need the giant silver dragon claw, you know, at my first go.
Yeah, no need to bullshit. That was scary as shit. So
It was a little over the top, honestly.
Mhm.
Which way
those,
did the riders come in and leave?
came in from this direction, north. So
You pinged again.
northwest,
Okay.
behind the
those,
sending stone, behind the big sending stone.
Okay.
Those cloaked figures. Wait, did we all see the cloaked figures, or was it just Teth that
Teth, I
saw
would
them?
say everybody else was encased enough in the illusion that you would not have been looking. Teth was the only one that rolled high enough to see them and was unaffected enough.
Oh, God. Sorry. I didn't realize.
Just
But I mean, I guess he would. If I don't want to assume that you would tell everybody, but Daunt did say that it was that something was missing and the casket was open. So
Teth,
Was
status report.
the-
What did you see?
the
Give me a
Vern.
rundown.
I'm gonna just let you right here. I would not recommend giving me commands like that. I appreciate your
I think I take a few steps back away from
Yeah.
his large wingspan, just to.
yeah. I appreciate what you're getting at, but that was just a little bit too quick.
Sorry, we had an intimate moment. I was in your arms, you know, 5 seconds ago, and I overstepped my bounds. I apologize.
Nightingale syndrome. Been there, done that.
Yeah. I think what you're looking for is you're welcome. The status report, and just to clarify, DM, the man's face that I saw with the markings, the canned face, was that the winged figure that flew in, or was that one of
What-
three?
it was one of three, not the winged figure. He was riding on its back.
Okay. Yes, Teth would relay that to the small group that is currently here. Freely.
Hmm.
Since something was stolen.
Did you see what the winged figure looked like?
Just
You did not.
No. I mean, wings, that's pretty assuming they can't, pop them back in. Pretty distinguishing feature.
I think I'd present the feather that I found. Well, here is another piece to the puzzle. It was lying on the ground next to the casket.
It's a blue
Very
feather, right?
pretty.
Mhm.
Yes.
Does that ring a bell? A humanoid winged creature that has blue feathers. Is that something I would be familiar with?
Make a history check.
While he's doing that, Shaw's wings were like bat wings, or were they feathered wings?
Shaw's wings were not feathered. They seemed like they were shaped like bats' wings, but they seemed more spectral than biological.
15 for
That's
you said
amazing.
history, right?
You have being around as long as you have, you've definitely fought alongside and fought against avian races. Um, there has never really been anybody in particular that you can recall that was blue, but you know that they exist.
Weird. Can't say I've ever encountered somebody quite like that.
Hmm.
Doesn't sound familiar to me.
You know any blue people? Is that a thing? Do blue people have blue feathers?
Just people in general,
I
blue
know
people
that
in
there's
general.
a super annoying blue guy that ran away at the first chance he could get.
Does he have wings? Well, you probably would have used them, right?
Oh,
He
yeah,
does not have
absolutely.
wings.
Urzok's gonna stomp his way over the clad of his plate mail and just walk up and examine the feather as well. Shake his head and says,
If you want to make another check, you could make a nature check if you wanted.
17.
17. There are no avian races in Farinth, but you have traveled enough to know that they exist as well. You are more familiar with the Kenku race, which does not have usable wings. They reside kind of in the northeast, which is right, just kind of to the east of Farinth. So you have facilitated trades with them before. They, of course, have darker feathers, ranging anywhere from black to lighter purple. But this particular color of blue does not ring a bell to you.
When I was at the library, I had done research on some species, but this is not ringing any bells for me.
Believe it or not, I haven't run into too many birds in the mines.
There's
Just
like
a couple of canaries.
canaries, yeah, in a coal mine.
Zethlo will posit that they head down to the tithing chambers as Cerberus has now left.
Do I have like an office space or anything now that I got upgraded, or just like a chamber?
You do, yeah. You have a chamber. It's not necessarily an office, but
Mhm.
it is a private chamber. You don't share it with anybody else.
Okay. I guess if it was big enough, I'd also offer that up as well. If we
Would be
needed a
big enough for a
place
small
to-
meeting, yeah.
Yeah, for people to meet, probably knowing it would not be listed in on like potentially the tithing room.
Mm-hmm.
Would
Uh,
the conversation with Urzok and the power source would have been like quiet tones? That'd be something that Teth would have heard.
That probably would have been kind of hushed.
Yeah.
Carry on.
So they, yeah. So you head down to the tithing chambers, and you get there with Hargrave before Cerberus is meeting with you. I don't have these maps anymore, but we'll just say that you're down there. And she will open the conversation, and she'll say, I've been here for 5 or 6 days now. They had the generals come in early. Cerberus has been acting strange the whole time. Whatever he has to say, it's got to be something big.
Is there a lock on the chamber's doors?
There is not.
Hey, big boy.
I can sit outside the door and make sure nobody comes in if you would like some time.
Read minds. Is terrific.
Zethlo will actually will say, no, I've got this, and he will cast Arcane Lock on the door.
Terrific.
So he'll just kind of touch the door, and the way that his magic works, it's very, very similar to how some of Teth's tech will work. He will touch the door, and pieces of the metal from the door will start splintering off, and pieces of wood, and they swirl around his hands and recreate themselves as a lock on the door. And then everything just shifts over, clicks over, and you can tell that the door just like bolts in to the wall. So he turns everything on the inside of the door sideways. It cannot be opened anymore.
Awesome.
Urzak's gonna very cautiously turn and look at everybody with wary eyes. After a moment, he'll put his insecurities aside and produce the king's scepter.
Hargrave is amazed. She can't believe what she's seeing.
He always was the one true king.
Are you talking about Urzak?
Yeah, I was like,
Greco.
just hand her and say, I honestly haven't the slightest clue on where to start with this, but
And she'll kind of look up at you as if to ask if it's okay to take it. Like she'll motion down to it.
yeah, I'll hand it to her.
She'll take it and kind of look it over. And it's badly dented, badly burned, bent in the middle. It took a lot of damage.
I would say Urzak
And-
probably would have just at least cleaned it up over the last.
Okay.
month. So, and they would have looked at it, but probably
Nice and polished, bent scepter. And she'll go to speak, and as she starts talking, there is a knock on the door. Zethalo will look at all of you. He'll like, do you want me to open it?
Hold on. Through solid objects. I guess I would say to the group, I can cast a message to see who it is, but if it's Cerberus, I'm on his shit list.
Urzak would just request, basically put his hand back out for the scepter and say, maybe a conversation for another time.
Hargrave will nod and hand it back. Zethlo will kind of read the room and be like, okay, I'm going to undo this real quick, just temporarily. So he
I'm actually
unlocks
gonna-
the door.
I'm gonna cast Disguise Self on myself.
Okay.
Just
That's
just as a disguise myself as a common. I don't know. He doesn't know. He doesn't know the other.
Arvantis is
Oh.
not here, so you could disguise
No?
yourself as Arvantis.
Okay. Yeah. Good call. I'll do that.
Not to tell you what to do, but that is the one tie that's not here.
Hey, I'll do that.
So the door opens and Cerberus walks in, and he's big. He's very tall, almost as tall as Urzak, taller with his helmet. But you'll notice that his helmet is not on. It's the first time that you've seen him without his helmet on. And this actually might be a surprise even to you, Brackle, that he is a horribly scarred hobgoblin. He is not human. And he'll kind of take the couple small steps down into the tithing chamber, and he'll say, "Our past aside, Daunt is a problem. Here's our solution." And he will step aside, and the three figures that came and swooped in and opened the casket, the same three cloaked figures are behind him. And they will walk in, they'll file into the room one by one. The last one comes in, will spread the wings, the full wingspan, just kind of as a relief, as if they've been hiding their wings under their cloak to walk in here.
I want to go.
And
I want to go. Oh, guys, the feather.
and they will decloak, and as you look upon these three figures, Teth, you recognize immediately the man's face, and in front of you stand three
Yeah.
Oh shit.
new friends, and the one in the center will extend his hand. Who's in front? Probably Brackle or Urzak, somebody.
Probably
Or I guess
just
Ziplo.
locking the door.
Yeah, I would guess if it was not Zenthril, sorry.
Then he won't extend his hand. He wouldn't do that. He'll look at all of you, and he'll say, "Hello. I think that we could all be of mutual help to each other. My name is Dez, and that's where we will leave off for tonight."
Bum, bum, bum.
Wow!
Nice. Does Dez have blue feathers?
He does.
I didn't know that.
It's a blue boy.
So what's Des from? He's from another game you guys played before.
Yes,
Mhm.
all three of these characters are from different games. Well, two of them are from one game, and Dez is
Huh.
from a separate game
Look at that.
Very
That's
cool.
that don't take place within this world, which is the important part.
Mhm.
Right. Very cool.
Hmm.
I'm gonna kill Cerberus. Actually, I don't really care.
Maybe you.
He's the one mad
will.
at me, so
This is where we find out that Cerberus
Right.
is actually Reggie the whole time.
He takes his cloaking down, and it's Jerry.
now don't he took my flask, and I don't take kindly to that.
Cerberus is just really, really angry, sober Reggie.
I think there are a lot of parallels. Like if Reggie wasn't a raging alcoholic, he would be Cerberus, just
He was sober.
upset all the time.
Actually, if you remember, Reggie's very against big government, so he probably wouldn't serve the king.
That's true. I don't. He's probably not smart enough to like do it unironically, so he would not be in that position. Awesome, guys. Hey, thanks for a great session one. That was a lot of fun. I hope
think
that
so,
it
too.
went smoothly
Yeah,
for all of you
good.
as well.
It's
Very
about
I
to
like
get exciting.
the ending surprised me. That was cool.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have
That's
expected
good.
that either.
I'm glad that it surprised you with three characters that you didn't know.
Well, I just thought I was like, okay, now we're gonna pursue these characters like across the map to the
Yeah.
northwest, but now it was neat. They're right there.
Yeah.
I'm
Absolutely.
happy how animated Vern is.
Mm-hmm.
That
Me
makes
too.
Vern
sense.
is a
I
good
think it's good.
character. Vern is a good
Yeah.
character.
I don't like. I feel like I get stuck playing a serious character at my own volition a lot.
Yeah.
The exception of Reggie. So it's
Yeah.
great to have foil to that.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think Vern and Teth will pad out this party really well.
Yeah.
'Cause before it was like a lot of really deep storylines. Like everybody was coming in and they're like, "Yeah, we're here in this shitty situation, and I'm gonna feel real mad about it." And now we can expand out from that. That's good.
I wanna be funny with Brackle, but I like that he's supposed to be a more serious character.
I mean, don't get me. I love a good serious character. I live for the dramatic, heroic moment where the serious character like finally reaches their goal and they're like,
Mhm.
I got the sword. I don't know. Like they avenge their father's death or whatever.
I
I'm
liked
here for
the.
that.
I think I liked the Brackle Urzak like banter, and like the "we're gonna die tonight," and it's like you gotta just. I think it's like enough character difference there that it's kind of even there's a
You
little bit
gotta
of
bring
foiling
it
going
down a
on.
notch.
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, yeah.
Listen, sad boy Urzak, we're bring it together a little bit.
It's not
All
sad.
right, guys. I gotta hop off. Again, thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Next week, I just found out yesterday Rhiannon's schedule is late into the evening, so I cannot play next week.
Okay.
So it'll be 2 weeks from now that we do session 2.
Word.
But then after that, I don't have any conflicts for the foreseeable future. So no game next
Alright.
week, but
Sounds good.
2 weeks I will see you guys here.
All right.
Alright,
I'll see you
guys.
later.
Awesome. Have a good
See you
night.
guys.
Night.
Bye.